Okay, so I've got an idea how we can make, like, more podcasts more quickly in future. Which is, what if we just take a leaf out of the gaming industry's book and start remastering previous PodCats episodes? All we need to do is, like, add in a couple of extra paragraphs at the beginning so people notice it. Then we just, like, take out any bits that haven't aged very well, add an additional jiggle and hair physics, and that's it. We've got a brand new episode we can sell for 50 quid. Like 70 if we're feeling ballsy.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, how long is the back catalogue of PodCats episode? Like, where did we fucking start this thing?
This is the
almost a decade
11th
ago,
episode.
actually.
No, that's 11th episode of... Is this series 3, technically?
No,
like,
I'm saying it's 2. I've been saying
because I
it's 2.
swear at one point we kind of did, like, what was flagged as, like, the second series after a gap.
It was 1 episode. I'm counting it as, like, an epilogue for the first series.
This is kind of series 3. Like, but series 1 goes back to, like, 2016 or something. Like, we could just go back, take a couple of them, remake them. Nobody would notice.
No, they definitely would.
Some people would notice.
There's some people who listen to them all the time, and they would definitely notice. 100%.
There would be a lot of political references that wouldn't age very well. Oh,
yeah, I don't know if I was talking about David Cameron. Like,
but then, but that's the thing. We don't have to, like, pretend it's a new episode. We can just say it's the PodCats remastered, and then we're being authentic if it's completely out of date.
We can advertise it. It's got the original voice actors in it.
Yeah, original voice actors. Good. We just give, Matt extra jiggle physics.
There'll be 5 minutes of deleted scenes.
Yeah.
It'll just be like us fucking on setting up audio.
That's true. We could just ink behind the scenes extras. People love behind the scenes extras.
Yep.
Then we could just, like, record 2 separate outros that you can then, like, vote between. So you've got a choice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. We're going to do that.
Alternative unused endings.
But the videos are going to be like, no, I'm glad Donald Trump's not going to get elected. Oh, Brexit. God, who's going to vote for that? That's definitely not going to happen. Hey, vote for...
Look, it's an important historical record, okay?
At least Trump's not getting elected a second time.
Okay, I want you to know this. You know that I do a little, like, just single person, like, little podcast for my Patreon community members and stuff.
Yeah.
That I have on record, February 2020, one person asked me in that thing, was I worried about this COVID thing they'd heard about? And I said, don't worry, it's not going to be a big deal. It's just going to blow over. You hear about these things sometimes, like bird flu and whatever. Like, you hear about them and then they just go away. Give it 2 months, we'll never hear about COVID again. I've just got that on record. Predicting COVID wasn't going to be a big deal in February 2020. That's just the thing I've said that's never going away.
I was the opposite. I was convincing Matt that this was actually legitimately going to be a serious one and that this is going to change a lot of shit. And I remember doing this on a dog walk. And I was like,
no, I really just think
you just take.
No, we were on a dog walk.
Put a little collar around Matt and just take him out for walkies.
No, we were on a dog walk, and Daniel was like, they're going to have to do a lockdown. I'm like, that's a bit extreme. I doubt they're going to do that. And Daniel's like, no, it's a proper serious thing. And I'm like, no, it's like going to be like bird flu. It's going to blow over. Like, I was the same as you.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, but you didn't say it. You didn't say it like on being recorded to be quoted at you forever.
Yeah. But I have now. I've said a lot of stupid things on record, admittedly. So I can't really.
That's really true.
Same. Every now and then I go back to old videos and I kind of go, we should take this one down. We should get rid of this one.
Actually, that reminds me. Do you remember in the PodCats, before the Switch came out, I remember me and you, Dan, were both convinced the Switch was absolute going to be a disaster. Looked like shit.
So
I think we specifically said it may well be Nintendo's last console. They were going to go like Sega and become a third-party developer because the Switch looked like shit and it was going to be a failure like the Wii U. Yeah, we definitely said that. That can be found in one of the earlier episodes of the podcast. So what the fuck do we know? Clearly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was coming off of, Nintendo. I was a Nintendo fan, and then the Wii was like, "This isn't for you," and I'm like, "Fair enough." And then the Wii U was like, "This is for you." I'm like, "It's shit. What's happening?" So like, Nintendo was like nothing for a long time. Like there was just a big for me, just this big gap of like, well, we're trying, but. And then so the Switch, I'm like, I don't know. You didn't even know how to advertise that the Wii U was a new console.
Yeah, it's the third best-selling console of all time. Currently,
the thing is, you've got to
PS2 and
respect
the
the
DS.
Nintendo pendulum. This is how it goes. They always follow a success by a failure of a comparable or greater size and then swing back to a success of a comparable or greater size, which makes me terrified for the Switch U. The Switch U is going to sell minus consoles somehow.
No, admittedly, PlayStation are releasing a PlayStation U.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the fucking the handheld thing that they're being it's a big deal is very literally just a Wii U controller. It works the exact same way. It does the exact same thing.
Admittedly, when I first saw it, I thought it was a dumb Photoshop joke.
Right, genuinely.
I thought it was actually
ridiculous.
a Photoshop joke. I didn't realise it was real.
MIDI 3. I've just realised this is a MIDI 3 podcast.
Well, there's not E3. We're sort of, yeah.
Because there's Summer Games Fest tomorrow. We've got Bethesda Xbox on Sunday.
Yeah, we're clearly inside the territory that would be E3 if E3 didn't just keep being dead.
Well, PlayStation did one. They did a week ago. They did their reveal of Spider-Man.
I mean, Christ, we watched fucking Daniel watched an Apple fucking keynote yesterday.
I did.
The day before.
Seriously, why the fuck are we recording this today? To be clear, it's currently Wednesday the 7th. This isn't going to go out for till next week. So we're going to be saying, "Oh, wonder what's going to be in Microsoft and Starfield Direct."
I
by the
think
time this comes out, everyone's going to already know.
Yeah, I think we should put this out as soon as possible. It's late enough.
Because otherwise, we're just going to be. Why do we record this week? We should have done it next week. Fuck's sake.
I've seen a little bit of leaked footage of Starfield. And I'm quite
I've not seen it. I don't want to know.
Quite excited.
Genuinely?
I'm excited. Yeah,
because I've heard mixed things.
The game, the big AAA game I'm most excited for this year.
Yeah. I'm really hoping it's good. Because I'm going to be honest, that first sort of gameplay trailer, was that last year at this point?
Yeah.
I wasn't overwhelmed. It just kind of felt pretty standard, sneaky things. Enemies have got their health bars. It felt a bit bland. It's if that's that's the bit you want us to see, what's the stuff you didn't want us to see? Because what you want to see should be the incredible stuff, and it wasn't hugely impressive to me. So I don't know. I'm scared. I really hope it's good. Desperately want it to be good.
That's just the bit that's finished.
Yeah.
And everything else is just a bit of a.
Well, that's the thing I keep hearing. That's going to be a big cyberpunk style release.
Well, that was when its release date was a year and a half ago.
No, but I'm still hearing that even now.
It's going to be interesting.
Loads of people are saying that it's oh my god, it needs another year or two, even now.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe they'll delay it.
I feel like they've delayed it enough. I'm not sure they can anymore, because now they need to turn the marketing focus onto Elder Scrolls 6. Which has got to be doing something, because that's been years since they announced that was in production.
Yeah, but they announced that to mitigate the fallout of Fallout 76.
Yeah.
It was the year after when they were that was their We're Sorry conference, where they were we're sorry, look, here's the Elder Scrolls 6. It's the logo, and is just footage.
I mean, they've got to want to move their marketing machine onto hyping up something that's not Starfield at this point. They've got to want to start talking in a bit more detail about Elder Scrolls 6, so they can also start teasing at Fallout 5, so that next year they can start being and now Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out, probably 2025 in fall, and also here's the first teaser for Fallout 5, which maybe will be 2027 or something.
Right, did you just say that you think Elder Scrolls is going to be 2025?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to say 2027.
Oh, John.
2027, maybe 2026.
Why is that so ridiculous? It's been so long since Skyrim came out. Skyrim was 2011. If it's 2025, that's 14 years between main Elder Scrolls games. That's not ridiculous. They've had 14 years.
No, I agree with you, John, but at the same time, they clearly haven't started working on it properly yet.
No,
even now.
They absolutely have. That's ridiculous. We know for a fact the day after they wrapped on Fallout 3's last bit of DLC, some people got to work designing Fallout 4. Even if they haven't said it out loud, they have been working on Elder Scrolls 6 for a long time.
Yeah, but it's still pre-production. They'll definitely be in a state of kind of working out lore and engine stuff. They'll be doing the technical side of things. They'll be doing concept art at the arse.
But Bethesda are absolutely
early stages. It's taking.
They're doing a Rockstar, because Rockstar obviously they were releasing a game every year, and then they just got longer and longer and longer and longer, and it just the gaps became a decade.
But that's different because they didn't need to hurry on, because they started making more money than God by just doing the online bits.
Yeah, but games
But
take a
Bethesda
long
are
time.
doing that now.
Is this what we're learning in this one? Is John doesn't know how long it takes to make a video game?
No, they're working on it
didn't
behind
you
the scenes, and we
say-
just don't know about it yet.
Wait. Did
Look,
you say that
this is what
Starfield was
Bethesda
coming
do.
out, like-
They announce a game. They kind of finally let you know that a game's there, and then say, actually, it's coming out later this year, which is exactly what they did with Fallout 4. We didn't
Yeah, so
know
there's
anything
one
about
instance.
Fallout 4.
Yeah,
Then
and
they
then it was 6
announced it
months
during
later.
that summer and said, it's coming out this autumn. And we went from nothing to, it's coming out in a few months.
Yeah, and they've not done that again.
And they're going to do that in 2025.
Didn't you say that Starfield was coming out in March?
Yeah,
This
he
year.
did.
Okay,
Yeah,
it
he did.
didn't.
Yeah,
But
because it
that's-
clearly wasn't going to, because it was like
John, we
2
established-
months and they hadn't started
John, with all
marketing
due
the
respect,
fucking thing yet.
we established like 10 minutes ago that you keep getting predictions aggressively wrong. So then if, like, you're wrong on COVID, you're wrong on Donald
Admittedly,
Trump,
yes, this
you're wrong
was
on
a bad
Brexit.
podcast
Like,
for me to start making predictions after we began with me making bad predictions.
On the predictions front, something I completely forgot to mention in the last 2 episodes. You know when we asked the AI to do lottery numbers?
oh yeah.
Yeah?
It won!
Oh no, it didn't.
No,
It
didn't.
won! It won!
didn't.
Right, I bought a lottery ticket,
Yeah.
and I put the thingy on, and it got 2 numbers right, and it got another draw, and it happened twice. 'cause
Wait,
I
you get a
bought
free
3 different
ticket for
things.
2 numbers in the lottery?
Yes.
How long's that been a
It goes on
thing?
to another one. I don't know. That's what it said.
That didn't
But
used
so,
to be.
out of the-
When Last Roger first came out, it was 3 numbers for a tenner, and that was the
Yeah.
the lowest you got anything.
But now 2, you get another go at it, because I think they've upped the amount of numbers from like 50 to 60.
Oh,
or
that's
something, or 40 to 50.
that's sort of evil retention that my marketing brain respects, but I also know is evil.
Yeah.
But no, so
sounds
out
like
of the 3, because I bought 3 tickets with it. I think I got 3 numbers out of it. 2 of them got 2 numbers, so it does know the winning lottery numbers.
You just demonstrated it doesn't.
It knew 4 winning lottery numbers out of like 50. What's the chance
Christ,
of that?
that's so evil that to keep people playing the lottery, they give you another go relatively easily to keep you hooked.
Yeah, but I
Jesus.
kind of just let it ride, and I was
so
like,
evil.
oh, won or lost or whatever. Didn't
That's
actually check
so
if those ones
lovely,
won. Might be a
insidiously
millionaire.
evil. Oh,
Your
Gambling. Who
marketing
knew
brain.
it was bad?
Your marketing
Who knew?
brain is evil. Anyway, so you
look,
thought
yeah,
Starfield's
what,
coming
that's
out
what's
in
going to
March.
happen. Okay, Starfield's coming out. Next year is going to be, hey, here's some Starfield DLC, and also here's the first proper, first glancy trailer to Elder Scrolls 6 Hammerfall or whatever, and then it's going to come out in fall 2015 if we get the proper gameplay trailer in not E3 2025, and then they'll also start teasing Fallout 5, and then the same pattern will repeat for the 2 years after that.
All right, here's my
Fallout
pitch.
5 2027. Locking it in now. So that when we do the PodCats, with our little Zimmer frames in 2027, we just be like, oh, John, you got that wrong, didn't you? Curse
So-
you, Dan. If only Matt hadn't died, we'd be so satisfied
Only Matt's
with
kidneys
this.
weren't stolen. And
If only Matt hadn't been murdered.
in this year, Starfield will probably come out.
Yeah.
Unless it gets like a last minute delay, but that's the thing. And then we'll have, half the team goes into more getting Elder Scrolls started, and most people will be also doing the DLC for Starfield, which will be about a year and a half's worth.
Yeah, fair.
They will next E3 they'll be revealing. So this is this E3.
Yeah.
Next E3 they'll probably start revealing that DLC.
Just to be clear, though, in Bethesda, they very often, the main A-team that made the game very often aren't leading on the DLC. They often let the DLC go to slightly more junior people to let them have a shot, so the A-team can move straight on to other things. Like this happened in Fallout 4, some more junior people worked in fairly high up positions producing some of that DLC, which is kind of a fun system, because it does let some other people, have a go, and let, the next generation get some experience, which is kind of cool.
So there is going to be next E3 will be look at the DLC for Starfield. Mm-hmm. The E3 after, and here's what Arcane's been up to. Oh, it's Redfall 2.
I imagine that we're not going to hear of Redfall again. I think they're going to quite. Have you played Redfall?
No, I'm smart.
Jesus Christ!
Can I just say, right, one of my favourite things about Redfall, I think I mentioned it last time, but in Liverpool there was just this big poster
Yeah.
outside the train station that they had, that I found out, because I kept walking past it, and it was just this massive, it was on the side of the building, it was like 7 stories high.
Yeah.
and it was just the word Redfall and a picture of a vampire with no other context.
Yeah.
None. And then I found out what made it worse is it wasn't just a poster. No, it was a mural. It had been hand fucking painted by lots of fucking expensive people and put in the most prominent fucking position in Liverpool to advertise it. And they didn't say it was a video game or where to get it. It was just the word Redfall.
I'm guessing they're working assumption these days. People just Google things they don't know.
I don't.
Look, the implication I get from Microsoft is just that everyone's kind of flanning around and no one really knows what they're doing, which is classic Microsoft, really.
I'm so confused by Redfall. I don't know what the fuck happened there. Because, like, very often when we say, this is a bad video game.
I know what happened there.
Yeah.
Somebody went, hey, make a live service game, Arcane. And they went, we don't make those. They're like, make a live service game.
I do honestly, I was about to say, I think the most logical explanation is Arcane were told to make a game they didn't want to make, and they just rushed it out and gave it to the C team and then said, fuck it, ship it so we can get back to producing the thing we want to make.
There's another element I found out about sort of internally in sort of how Microsoft work, is that when they agree on a release date for any sort of like Game Pass or Microsoft-based games, because of how bureaucratic their entire systems are, they can't just change the release date without, like, they just don't. Like, they said it and that's it. It doesn't matter if it's not ready. It's
Redfall was delayed. Redfall was originally going to come out not at the date it was. It was originally going to come out like 6 months earlier or something. Redfall was definitely delayed.
But they don't. But as it gets closer, even like they won't. Like they just. It's such a, like if they realize like a week before going, oh, this isn't right. They can't. Like it takes so long for anything to happen to Microsoft that it just goes down the chain. And Bethesda are able to just do their own thing.
Yeah.
Apparently,
you know, I kind of want to see the original version of Redfall they were going to launch in, like, I think it was March of 2023. I really want to see that version. I think maybe it was autumn 2022 when it was really supposed to come out. I want to see the original version that they delayed, and that this version has 6 extra months of polish in it. I want to see that original version, because
it'd be better or worse than Cyberpunk. That's the real question.
When we talk about bad games these days, very often we don't actually mean a game that's a bad idea. What we mean is a game that's technically bad. Very often, when games get really bad scores and they're notorious failures, it's because they're a technical disaster.
Wrong, Gollum, terrible design.
I know, that's what makes Gollum so fun. Gollum and Redfall are both really cool examples of games that are actually technically not that bad. The problem is they're just actually bad games. They're actually bad, and we don't actually get games that are like genuinely bad games that are still prominent games from major developers and major publishers.
We get a lot of mediocre games.
Sorry, this just sounds like the perfect time to segue into Tears of a Kingdom, but I won. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Well, actually, here's a question. Do you think, right, there's 2 options. Do you think Elder Scrolls 6 will release before Apple releases a VR headset at a reasonable price?
No, I think Apple will release a headset at a reasonable price first.
Yeah, which is sort of insane, right?
But I was saying, this E3 is they're going to show off Starfield gameplay. Oh, look, you can build stuff, you can build your own spaceship, and I'm going to go, fuck yes, let's go. And then next E3, here's DLC for Starfield, that's 2024. 2025, here's a CGI trailer for Elder Scrolls. 2026, here's the
gameplay trailer.
The gameplay stuff. Game's coming out this year, if it's not late. So I'm saying 2026, earliest for Elder Scrolls, maybe 2027. I think Bethesda have upped their development time from sort of the 4 or 5 years to about 6, 7 now. Definitely feels like they've stretched it quite a bit. I would also say that there is a wrinkle in this, because that's when I think we're going to see Elder Scrolls. I think we might see Fallout either before then or at the same time as then.
No, they've explicitly stated the order is Starfield, Elder Scrolls, Fallout.
Yes, I'm very aware of that, but Microsoft are floundering like fucks. They've spent all this money on these like big studios, and what have they got to show for it so far?
What's
your favourite Xbox Series X exclusive? Been around for how many years now? Got any? Can you name one?
Admittedly,
Halo probably is right.
Admittedly, I can't name any PlayStation exclusives either.
Spider-Man.
Is God of War technically exclusive still?
God of War.
God of War 2.
Yeah.
God of War 2. God of War 2 is still exclusive. Ratchet and Clank isn't anymore.
Yeah, but PC doesn't count. It's console exclusive.
Okay,
PC
console exclusive. Okay.
I mean, you've got Demon's Souls.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Nintendo's got the best first-party exclusives this generation.
Absolutely.
They very often do.
Yeah.
I mean, High Five Rush was fun.
I couldn't play it. I don't have a sense of rhythm. I literally.
Yeah, no.
I turned it down to easy. I turned it
rhythm.
down to easy difficulty, and I could barely do the tutorial because my brain cannot do rhythm games.
I've got rhythm, but as long as rhythm is all it needs from me.
Yeah.
If it needs you have to focus on fighting, I'm like, fuck yourself. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't.
No,
I literally couldn't play it.
I think the wrinkle here, though, is Microsoft are floundering and shitting the bed in quite a lot of ways, and I can see them going, hey, what if we give you a shit ton of money to make a new team? Or they'll go over to Obsidian, who they also own, and go, hey, could you just quickly bash out a Fallout game?
I would not, honestly, the dream scenario, though I'm probably dreaming and I'm biased because I want it to happen, is for them to say, look, we literally own In Exile and Obsidian and Bethesda.
Didn't they say they
So
were?
what
they
if we
they
just
sort of
got
were doing
all three of those guys together?
Yeah,
I swear they said they were doing some
And ask them
Fallout
to
New
make
Vegas 2 style
Fallout
thing.
New Republic or Fallout New Seattle or Fallout something with new in it so everyone knows what we're talking about.
Also, it's a spin-off. That's another, you build it in the Fallout 4 engine. Fuck it, it's holding up well
Exactly.
enough.
Yeah.
Something you
That
can
game
make
still
in
looks
2
beautiful.
years.
Yeah. Not only do
Yeah.
they literally have the established rule that now Bethesda Fallouts happen on the East Coast, and you've just got the West Coast reserved for other shits.
Yeah.
So, literally, you've just got a Fallout setting that doesn't impact the stuff that Bethesda does right over on the other side of America. They've literally divided America in two and said, that's where the stuff that's not made by Bethesda goes.
Yeah. I genuinely think we will see a Fallout before we see an Elder Scrolls.
I would love to see a new Fallout. A new Fallout that's, even if it's like a weird experimental Fallout, I'd be completely open to a different genre of Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's notable,
just
right?
try something a bit different. Fuck it.
I know you don't like New Vegas, Daniel, but for all of New Vegas's faults, the fact that they made that in 18 months,
17
months,
Yeah,
and
it shows.
I think a lot of it's aged poorly.
Facet of it, from
But
the shitty voice acting to the shitty
How
everything.
dare you?
To the I'm sorry, yeah, Matthew Perry should have won a fucking Oscar for the
Okay,
role
fine.
of
Matthew
man reading
Perry
lines
was
off of a
Matthew
sheet.
Perry was slightly
What?
out of his depth on certain lines, but in general,
Considering
he's not even that bad.
That game, right, for all its faults, and there's a
Heyo.
lot, it's very respectable
Give
in
him
a
a
lot of
shake
ways.
for the Ben man, will you? Hey,
The fact they made such a rich game.
that was his best take. Hey Matthew,
Jesus fucking
act
Christ,
like
Matthew
someone's
Perry.
just shaking their boobs in your face. Heyo.
Worse or better than Peter Dinklage?
Well, they didn't have
I
to
think-
burn Matthew Perry out of
It's
the
true.
game.
They didn't have to. Yes, literally. They didn't have to literally patch him out of the game. That's
Well,
true.
actually, admittedly, they're doing the Fallout 4 project that's remaking Fallout New Vegas in Fallout 4. They can't reuse any of the sound or voice acting from the original game. So they're re-recording everything.
Oh,
and I'm
they-
curious. I'm assuming some of it will be better.
No, they were. Now they're bringing AI into it. I think AI is getting involved in that. Or at
Can
least
we get a worse KO? That's the
It might
question.
possibly be a side project that's not tied to the original project. But I've seen a tech demo of people who basically fed the original lines into an AI and basically got the AI to functionally redo them and also allow them to add additional lines in the same voice, which is also useful for modding purposes if you want to add additional content that's still voice acted. And
it could be
skeeves
interesting.
me out a little bit because basically you're stealing somebody's voice performance without their permission or anything, and that I don't like it.
So there's the whole AI thing, right? Because obviously me and Daniel were watching that Apple conference is weird, right? Because it's WWDC, so they're talking about tech specifically, and they kept bringing up that hey, we've added this feature that uses machine learning, but it was all really practical stuff. It was hey, we've introduced machine learning autocorrect.
I kind of assumed that's how autocorrect already worked.
No, it's a lot more it learns what kind of words you type, and it's a lot more complicated and advanced apparently.
The
example
weird,
they
the weird
used
thing
was
about autocorrect has always been it doesn't seem to acknowledge what shape a keyboard is. It doesn't make the assumption that logically if I've made an error, it's likely that the letter that needs changing might need to be changed to the key that's next to the key that's been pushed. Autocorrect never seems to do this, and it's really fucking weird.
But apparently, this that's supposed to do, and that's a good use of AI, I think. Their example was when you just want to write a ducking word, was what they said in the keynote, which I appreciated greatly.
Yeah.
But there's lots of nice little uses for it, in those little practical background things. But when you're stealing, redoing voices is kind of
Yeah.
It's in a weird.
That's that's a very that's a high skill, really important artistic performancey thing from a human that I feel like you shouldn't steal. Like, I don't know, like that was the thing the villain in The Little Mermaid does, right? Stealing people's voices.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like in general, if you're doing the thing a Disney villain did, then that's a sign you might be on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then again, poisoning a bitch. Yeah, that's fine. She lives with 7 dudes. Fuck it. I don't care. Like, just poison her. I'm the fairest of them all. Fuck you. Maybe I got the wrong ideas from the film.
I mean, this is Daniel's Snow White misogyny coming out.
Not misogyny. It's not because she's a woman. It's because she's fucking ugly.
Wow.
No, seriously, she looks like a fucking corpse, right? Let's be fair about Snow White, right? If anything,
You think Snow White looks like a corpse?
Yeah, have you seen fucking what
I'm
Snow
quickly
White...
just googling the original.
Google.
We're talking the original
Yes.
animated Snow Whites.
Yes.
What? Because she's very pale?
Yeah, she looks like she's got fucking... She's just
I mean, the
fucking
clue was in
flat.
the name in many ways, yes. That's true.
She looks like she's been made up with Homer Simpson's makeup gun, and then it's just been smeared about her face.
No, that's a good reference. I'll give it that.
That's an excellent reference.
She's got tiny eyes. She looks barely human, right? There's nothing...
Well, she is a cartoon, in fairness.
Well, yeah,
Actually, it is. One thing I hadn't noticed right now is, yes, if you look at like the original footage versus how she's drawn when Disney draws her today, they have actually very clearly
different.
updated her to look a little bit less whatever the fuck was going on with the original face.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's actually, I'd never noticed that before today, but that's actually fascinating. But you are right. There's something weirdly uncanny valley about her face in actual clips from the original. And whenever they draw her today, they have actually changed her style.
Yeah.
Quite
The original looked a bit...
the eye shape, the nose, the lip shape, everything actually. She's like a complete different. Oh shit! Is this
In the
like
original, she
Avril
looks like
Lavigne?
Marilyn Monroe.
This is like Avril Lavigne. The original Snow White's been fucking killed, and they've replaced her with a clone.
Good.
Oh my god.
Fuck Snow White.
We're on to you, Melissa.
Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa Lavigne, Avril Lavigne's clone that replaced her.
Oh, is that the Avril Lavigne?
This is the
always
best
bring this up.
conspiracy theory.
Why'd you always bring this up?
Oh, it's fucking Avril Lavigne every goddamn day.
Because it's the
Avril
best
Lavigne this, Avril
conspiracy
Lavigne that,
theory.
skater boy here, skater boy there. Like, come on.
Do you see
not gonna fuck
any
you, John.
other, like...
You're not wrong, Dad. Snow White has
the
had
Snow
some
White
work
universe.
done. Snow White has been under the surgeon's knife a fair few times.
Yeah,
Blimey.
definitely. She's horrifying. Like, I honestly would be like, hey, I need to kill her. Either I need to kill her or replace this mirror, and this mirror was expensive. So I'm gonna kill off. See what happens. You know what it is? She's just bug testing the mirror. That's all the fucking the Wicked Witch is doing. She's like, who's the first of all? Snow White. Snow White, she looks like a fucking golem. Like,
The problem is, it is hard to evaluate which one of them is fairer, if either, because yes, the Wicked Witch is wearing this kind of, I don't know what is like a wraparound hood thingy. I don't even know what it's called.
looking up Snow White Witch so I could see. Evil Queen, that was her name, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the evil stepmother or whatever. Yeah.
No, she's an evil stepmother. She's fucking
Oh,
banging,
is that
right?
Cinderella?
That's Cinderella. Yeah,
That's
it's the Evil
Cinderella.
Queen.
Yeah,
Evil
but
Queen.
she's
Hot as
wearing,
shit, mate.
she's wearing this wraparound thing that makes it very hard to evaluate whether, in fact, which of them is fairer. Because you're right, something is wrong with Snow White's face, but equally the Evil Queen has got, like, most of hers covered up. So it's
I fuck
very
the
hard to
shit out of the
evaluate.
Evil Queen. Just saying. Even in old hag form, right?
Yeah.
That's
Jesus
the-
Christ, Daniel.
She looks like she'd fuck you up. That's what I like about the Evil Queen. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking...
She looks sharp.
Yeah, she's got sharp features. So they look like fucking... It looks like someone's used like the smoothing tool all over Snow White's face.
You see, the problem we've got is, if we establish, and I assume now that, it's all Disney, we've got to assume this is true, that all Disney fairy tales happen in the same universe, then logically the mirror should have basically said, well, neither of you. Like, there are multiple hotter Disney princesses out there. Sorry.
Well, she wasn't going for hotter, it was fairer. She just wanted to be whiter than her. It's a big racism thing, Snow White.
I mean, it's true
What?
that they are
Disney,
both very
in the-
pale. They are both extremely pale, that's true.
Yeah, but right, here's the thing. Wicked Witch hangs out in a castle all day,
Yeah.
right? No sunlight. Working
I
on
think
her
castles do
paleness.
have windows.
Nah, she don't have any windows.
Probably
And then
bigger
he's-
windows than, like, a miner's cottage.
Yeah, but no, but she's not. She's always outside, Snow White. Always hanging outside, singing.
That's true.
at the
She's hanging out with the
fucking thing.
animals. She's probably going to pick
Yeah.
up a bit of a tan. That's
Yeah.
true. Or
fact,
get
she's got
sunburned,
tan.
given her skin so pale. She's going to get burnt.
She's going to get burnt. And
Yeah.
I just think that the Wicked Witch is putting the effort in. Evil Queen, so much effort. Snow White, she doesn't deserve it.
That's true, actually. There was no reason to poison Snow White. Just, leave her out in the forest for a bit. She's going to get horribly sunburned. She will definitely not be fairer, in the most literal sense, than the Evil Queen at that point.
If Snow White was ginger, she would have burnt like a fucking crisp. Wouldn't need no dragon or nothing in the final act. Just she'd have fucking.
Wait,
Just
there was
go
a
out in
dragon in the
sunlight and
final
just go-
act of Snow White?
I don't.
You're not thinking of
remember.
Sleeping Beauty at this point.
I'm thinking of all of them.
You're thinking of Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping
I mean, all-
Beauty,
all
Snow
the ones
White,
from the
what's difference?
pre-50s are the same film.
Snow White doesn't need a dragon. They just snog a corpse in that salt set.
Yeah, you got
There's no
essentially sort of
dragon.
corpse in that one. What
I
was
think
it?
you're just blending together several different stories here.
It's the dwarves, and then she pricks her finger, and then she's got to go to the ball, but she leaves a slipper behind. It's all that
Admittedly, I'm not
shit.
100% sure how they managed to stretch Sleeping Beauty out to feature length. There's no cocking story in that thing.
It's because they are they. Wait, hang on. Which is the one with the nice lady witches?
That's Sleeping Beauty.
That's Sleeping Beauty.
You mean the
That's how
the
they
good
stretch-
fairies, the fairy
Yeah,
godmothers?
that's how they stretch
possibly.
it out because there's 80 minutes of them baking a cake.
Yeah,
That's Maleficent in that one, isn't it?
yeah.
Or is it? Okay.
Her name is Evil Queen.
No, Evil
Maleficent.
Queen is Snow White. Maleficent
Yeah.
is Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, yeah. Angelina Jolie in that weird fucking movie.
See,
Sorry, two weird fucking movies.
They're too similar. There's all this oh, this woman needs help.
Well, they joke about it in fucking
Sending-
Wreck-It Ralph, don't they?
I don't know because Wreck-It Ralph is shit.
Also,
it's a bit in
apparently
Wreck-It Ralph.
Sleeping Beauty, also known as Princess Aurora, also known as Briar Rose.
Brian
Yep.
Rose.
For,
That was
when
a wrestling name.
I was about to say, when she was on tour with her band, but that works too.
It's a wrestling name. And in this corner,
Briar
weighing in at 3 pounds,
Rose.
it's Briar Rose. And in the other
Amazing.
side, it's the big fat bastard of New Japan, or whatever the fuck it is. It's Baymax. And then they wrestle. It's great.
Yeah.
Where was he from?
watch
New
that.
Tokyo? Neo Tokyo? It'd be called something like that, wouldn't it? I don't actually know because I can't remember that film. But I said New Japan because that's the wrestling.
They were in San Francisco in that film.
They were in San Francisco in Iron Man?
Yeah, in
remake?
Baymax. Baymax? No,
Yeah,
Baymax.
the Iron Man remake, because it's just Iron Man.
Yeah, they were in San Francisco.
Were they? Was it
Yeah,
called
but it was like
Neo
this sort of, like-
San Francisco or something?
Yeah, but it was like this neo-Japanese sort of infused tech San Francisco.
Sorry, I did remember that. I don't remember seeing the
I like how
Golden
we
Gate
always
Bridge.
establish in stories how it's the future because a city's been named, New or Neo City. And I want to see the moment where that change gets, done.
when's London
who was
gonna be
mayor
really
when they just sat down
Neo-London?
in London and said, okay, so we're New London now?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did you
Was there a
make that
vote?
choice?
I have actually, no, in
What
Paris
happened
Barracks,
at that
I do
moment
have,
that made you think you were going to do that?
I have a New Berlin. I do. I have New Berlin.
You have New Berlin.
New Berlin is a location in Paris Barracks.
Explain at what point
I mean,
Berlin
that-
chose to go over to being
No,
New Berlin and why
but
this
it's-
happened.
It's on a different planet.
If it's a different city,
Okay,
that's
if
a different thing
city,
entirely.
that's fine. Yeah.
We've got New Yorks and new fucking everything. You know,
Well,
like,
it's
it's
in
fine.
New York.
Yeah, could you imagine, right? But like,
York's a shithole. Why would you want to make a new one? It's all cobbled streets and fucking. It's like fucking. It's confusing. This fucking thing in the world. When I went on the book tour, it was like, all right, go down this cobbly fucking road and then go down that cobbly fucking road. Past
yeah,
the
you know, I
fucking-
wish they'd just kept it as New Amsterdam. That would have been much better.
Nah, but then you got to have all the red light district and all that.
Yeah, New York is like that. Oof.
Not anymore. Did it up. It's all.
You kidding?
Oh, it's all. They did it up. They got rid of all of. Hang on, we can't care about sex workers. The new GTA hasn't been announced yet.
Jesus Christ.
That's when you're allowed to care. That's when you have to care. That's the time, isn't it? It's the only
it?
time. People are listening going, what's a sex worker? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. GTA 6 will be announced pretty soon. And then, we'll carry on with that. I wonder if Xbox is going to announce it. At this
I mean,
I can see that.
they've always been close with Rockstar, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, the guy. Remember the GTA 4 tattoo at E3?
No.
No.
Nobody remembers the GTA 4 tattoo?
God, no. What?
When he came out with, I can't remember who it was, but somebody came out with a GTA 4 tattoo at the Xbox conference, because GTA used to be basically like PlayStation only. Was it a San Andreas tattoo? Maybe it was San Andreas. Fuck it, I gotta look this up now. This is a thing. I didn't make this up. This happened. I saw it.
Well, you say that, but you do make a lot of shit up.
We just need a new random console exclusive direction that no one sees coming. I just want to remind everyone that before Rockstar were Rockstar, DMA Design actually did some exclusive games with Nintendo. So I want GTA 6 to be exclusively on the Switch U. Alright,
I mean,
bring it full circle.
John, they couldn't get GTA 3 running on a Switch. Like, fucking good luck.
It was Peter Moore at E3 2006. He announced that GTA 4 was coming to Xbox with a tattoo on his arm saying Grand Theft Auto 4.
Oof.
Is it a permanent tattoo or just a temporary tattoo?
I kind of hope it was permanent, because that's funnier. I don't
very
think so,
funny.
though, because it looks like shit. Look there. Picture in the chat. That
Oh
no
my god, that
one
looks
listening-
photoshopped.
What?
That looks like it's painted on.
That's definitely a Photoshop. That's not real.
No, I think that's been painted on by
It
like a
doesn't
makeup
look
artist or
right.
something.
That's body paint at absolute best. That is not a tattoo. That's body paint.
That was the reveal that GTA 4 was coming to the Xbox 360, because I'm pretty
So it
sure
looks like a tit.
was GTA PlayStation exclusive for ages?
It was.
Well,
GTA 3
a lot of
was
stuff
for a
was
while.
PlayStation exclusive because at the time the alternative was being on the N64 and no one wanted to work on the N64.
Well, no, GTA 3 was PlayStation exclusive for a while, and then, like 2 years later, they were like, "Oh shit, we're bringing it to the Xbox," and they did loads of upgrades to it, and they added like fingers to the character models and some clutter, and then for some reason, every remastered version of GTA 3 is based on the PS2 version, not the Xbox version.
Yeah.
Even though the Xbox version has like hand skeletons instead of like Lego hands.
I really enjoy that period of gaming about 20 years ago when, when technology moved forward, you could actually see it. And we didn't have to have trailers that had, like, back and forth swipes to remind everyone, look, I promise it's better than the thing we're remastering.
I strongly disagree with that, because that Matrix demo,
it's
the Unreal
amazing.
5 Matrix demo, made me go, holy fucking shit.
There's a few things I've played, like the Unreal 5 Matrix demo. Like sometimes when I'm in Microsoft Flight Simulator and I'm flying, I'm like, oh my god, right? Like you're looking at it and you're like, this is insane. I'm wondering, right? I know I've brought it up a few times, but it's a big cornerstone point of Apple announcing that headset because
Always keep bringing it back. Matt, okay,
well, no,
fine, I'll say it, Matt. I'm considering buying a Mac. There, I said it.
I wasn't even going to try and get that out of you. He's not even joking. It's hilarious.
I am. I was looking at. I want it because I wrote my first book on a laptop, on a Chromebook, because I wanted a really light, nothing really on it. Laptop.
I just want to say, Daniel, when you bought that Chromebook, the laptop I am recommending you did exist, and I did say that's a good choice for you. And
Shut
you're
up.
like, no.
And the Chromebook was great, little bit of tech, but I hated that it had to always be connected to the internet, and then it died literally as I was finishing the book off. So for the second book, I was like, I'm not buying a new laptop. So I wrote it on my computer, and I've hated writing on my computer. I want to write on a laptop because then I can take it places. So I was looking at laptops, and I was like, well, there's fanless ones you can get now that are pretty. And I saw the Mac, and I was like, well, I hate Apple, but it's nice.
Well, the thing,
Right.
every time Apple have entered a product category, right? Because they always do enter a product category late, right? Like smartphones existed before the iPhone, and tablets
What? I
existed
thought
before
they
the
invented
iPad.
smartphones. What? I thought they invented everything.
No, but this is the thing. Whenever they've entered these product categories, it has really pushed that industry because they're the biggest company in the world, right? So it kind of makes it go forward.
Was
so
the
them entering
BlackBerry the
VR
first
AR.
smartphone? Technically?
Was what, though?
Was the
No.
BlackBerry the first smartphone?
Depends what you
No.
define as a smartphone, but no.
Yeah, no, there was a lot because they had those weird like PDA smartphones. Like I remember using XL on a fucking PDA smartphone in like 2006. But I'm wondering because they made a big thing about they didn't really touch on games at all for that headset. I mean, Kojima was there, but it was just to announce Death Stranding for the Mac, which fucking course it was. There was nothing interesting about Kojima just turning up.
Yeah, he turns up anywhere.
God, he well, they're like, oh, it's Kojima-san. And the Kojima's like, hello, I'm bringing Death Stranding to the Mac. And then that was it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is that it? But those new headsets, I mean, John, have you seen the price of them?
I've known nothing about them, but I've seen it's $3.5 grand, right?
Woo, $3,500. Wait,
But is
me and
that
Daniel,
US dollars?
Starting at.
Yeah, starting at.
That
Okay.
doesn't include the super strong battery that only lasts 2 hours. That doesn't include getting like the face shaping bit done or lenses.
Yeah. Like, but
And
me and Daniel
this
were
is
watching it.
mixed reality, right?
Yeah, but like when they were showing off all the features of it, me and Daniel are kind of texting each other, going, "This thing is fucking like it. It looks expensive. Like the amount of shit in it, it's clearly so expensive to make."
I'd like to quote some of that stuff.
Go ahead.
They put a lenticular screen on the outside of the headset so it can accurately 3D render your eyes outside.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And also,
people can see your eyes.
That just feels like a good starting point for our horrifying Doctor Who monster.
I mean,
it does look pretty. It does look pretty.
Lights. It's dumb. It's really heavy having a screen on the front. Like, there's no top strap at all.
No, however, it's incredibly thin, and Apple are going to make that's going to be fucking light and comfortable. I actually really trust that they're going to do that.
No, I don't. I genuinely don't, because if I've got lenses, right? If I've got lenses in that thing, and it's got a screen on the front of it, and it's got a battery pack pulling down from one side, that just feels like it's going to be the most uncomfortable fucking thing in the world.
So the thing is, right, the AirPods Max, right, which are the headphones I'm wearing right now, they are very similarly designed, right? They have the same metal, they have the same crown, they have the same like mesh, it's the same materials, right? And when you pick these up, these are fucking heavy, and everyone who picked these up and saw them went, that looks uncomfortable as shit, and it's heavy, right? They are the most comfortable pair of headphones I've ever worn in my fucking life. Like, for Apple, many things, but I do actually trust them to make a comfortable headset. Like, as much as it might look uncomfortable, I actually do trust that it will be comfortable. But I don't know if it'll be good. I don't know if it'll be good.
If it doesn't have a top strap, I'm not interested, because I've tried VR headsets that don't have a top strap, and it is an uncomfortable hellhole.
I'm excited to try it. I mean, it's weird, like, it is full mixed reality. Apparently, it's...
But what is it for? What problem is it solving?
Okay, one of the big things they announced,
Apple
John...
don't have enough money.
Well, they have... one of the big things they announced is XL, John, so I think that might excite you. Microsoft XL announced a VR AR version that floats in the air in front of you.
It's not... Right, here's the thing, right? It's not a VR headset. As much as it can do VR, its focus is basically, look, you can put all of your screens in the real world. And that's it.
Yeah,
okay, what does it do that me just being sat in front of a large monitor doesn't do?
It can make the monitor 100 feet wide, 100 feet in size.
Yes, but if I have an Excel spreadsheet that is that big,
I
can't
with you,
see the cells over there.
But you see, of course, what it also does is it's got motiony clicking things, so you have to have your hand in front of you and do pinchy motions, and that's how
you don't have to have your hand in front of you. They made a big deal that you can just have your hand in your lap.
Yeah, which just means that I'll just be setting it off all the time, because I'm always fiddling with shit.
It's true, it's not good for people who have fidget toys. That's going to fuck it up.
Hang on, let me just check the fidget toys on my desk.
You know one of the weirdest things
oh shit, the spreadsheet's going bananas!
One of the weirdest things they announced, John, was that they went... Disney, fucking Bob Iger turned up, right? And was like, Disney Plus is announcing a big thing with it. And they're like, hey, when you watch a Disney Plus show, like, you can watch the Disney Plus show in, like, a virtual... They're like, oh, look, you can watch The Mandalorian.
As long as the show doesn't run for more than 2 hours total.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they keep... You can plug it in, obviously, but they keep kind of skimming over the 2 hour thing, because that's not good.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, you can, like, watch a sports game. Admittedly, there was a bit where we're watching basketball.
Not if there's a half-time, you can't.
No, but
if there's
the
a half-time
bit,
celebration, you just gotta take it off and plug it in during that.
They had the basketball on a big TV in front of you, but then, like, on the coffee table, it drew like a little 3D basketball court, and it was showing the game, like, in 3D with all these little 3D basketball men doing the game, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. Pointless, but sick. And it's all just... It was a lot of gimmicks, right? It was just a lot of, like... They were kind of being like, oh, developers can do it. And I'm like, but it's $3,500.
Okay.
Like, even if you're as curious as fuck.
Okay,
like,
I'm going to say something stupid right now. So prepare yourselves.
Okay.
If the coolest function... Shut up. If the coolest function of this is like stuff like, hey, it's going to project cool stuff into the real world while you're doing other stuff. Like, it's not virtual reality, like, it's augmenting the reality around it, right?
It can do full virtual, but
then why are we even still making it a set of heavy glasses you pin to your face, rather than, say, like, you know, not having it be some form of a 3D projector thing?
Because...
That simply projects a cool 3D thing, so you don't have to be wearing the dumb glasses.
Because that doesn't exist.
It's got 2 processors in it. And fuck you, that's why.
No, seriously, why is it not just like a 3D projector?
Because a 3D projector you need to have set up. This is a thing designed that you can... I understand,
but why is this not just a portable 3D projector you could put down somewhere and tell it to project
because
a thing
3D projectors
onto the
don't
surface
exist,
around it?
John. They don't exist. That technology doesn't. We don't have holograms.
Well, yes, but they could make it, couldn't they? They're making this. What if instead they made the thing I suggested, which is better?
Can't just
You don't have to
make
wear a
a
stupid heavy
hologram.
set of things on your heads.
That's not.
But if you could do a 3D projector like that, why would you need it to sit on the desk? Why don't you have it attached to your eyes and just 3D project the stuff onto your eyes?
Well, why you're right, why not have it sit in your shoulder and make it look like a really cool, like, parrot? I would love to just wander around with a parrot on my shoulder.
Yeah, why don't we just have holodecks? Why don't we just have holodecks,
that I can
John?
just say, Robo-Polly, project the baseball game. And just in front of me, there's a 3D cool baseball game now in front of my face while I'm walking along the street. And I don't have to be wearing... if you gave me a choice between wearing big, dumb, stupid VR goggles or having a robot parrot that can project lasers out of its eyes, I will take the parrot every time. And everyone in the comments will agree with me that they would rather have the parrots.
I like the idea of alternate reality. I like the idea of having a desk that is just cool stuff on it, and I put my thingies on and I see the screen when I'm working, and I take them off, and I don't
like you're in fucking Tony Stark's little basement in the Iron Man films.
Yeah.
And you can just
project
this and wave your hands around and shit happens.
The screen is a set of goggles that you can just have in your head, and it's smaller and it's neater. And you can have things bigger, and you could use it as entertainment shit, all that stuff.
But the weakness is the goggles, because all VR headsets are hot and uncomfortable and leave you with dumb marks around your eyes and leave you really sweaty and shit.
That is the problem with VR.
That is the weakness, so that's the bit we need to get rid of and replace with my fictional technology.
Yeah, it'd be great if we had holodecks, John, but we don't.
I'm sure a 3D holograph projector's a thing that exists.
No.
Also, what's the difference between a hologram and a holograph?
You've made one of those up.
Which one have I made up?
Holograph? That's just a graph without anything underneath that you can't integrate.
Holographic is a thing. I've heard that word before. Here we go. Look, I've googled 3D hologram projection systems, and that's a thing that appears to exist.
No, but it's like
if the room is full of smoke,
one angle and it's a bit 3D.
Yeah, but just make that.
This is
better.
about having your screens, whatever screens you need for the day. So it's because I've got 2 screens. I used to have 3. Got rid of 1. But if I want a 3rd screen to go back, that's effort and faff. But if I'm working on something, I'm like, I need more monitors. I could just go whoop whoop whoop.
See, but this is the thing. If that kind of headset, right, the concept they've shown off, if it was super fucking comfortable and it had a really long battery life, and it was and when you had it on, it was perfect, I'd fucking wearing it all the time. I'd do so much shit with it. Because you can just, you can just make more monitors. You could just be like, I'd like a fucking cinema screen over there. And because it's got LiDAR sensing, it can draw stuff behind things in your environment quite accurately. So it can put a thing behind your sofa, and it draws shadows on the ground for everything accurately. And something I really liked is when someone walks into your field of view, they sort of appear in the virtual world that you're in. They're just kind of like, hello. And I'm like... I use it all the time. It sounds cool, but
it is cool. But honestly, I just don't want to wear a VR headset for that long.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
You'll get hot and sweaty and uncomfortable, and probably get a headache.
And I don't. And the most important thing about this is the 2-hour battery life is not enough. And also, 3,500 is just prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, they have named it the Vision. Was it the Vision Reality? I can't remember what it's called.
Vision
Whatever.
Pro.
Okay, they've
Eyes
put
2.
Pro.
That's what they've invented. Eyes 2.
They've put Pro on the end of it, which does imply that there'll be an Air later, and they'll definitely lower the price of that Pro in a year or two, 100%.
When proper VR came out, which I am a fan of, and you're spending $1,000 to get a fully 3D environment thing that you're only going to play for 2 hours because you're hacking things to bits and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Even that's plugged in though. That's fine. I can see that. But if this is software to use in the office, this has got to be 8 hours comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't even have a pair of headphones that are 8 hours comfortable. I just don't think I need to breathe, baby. I need to see.
No, I get that.
That's
the wonder with them, and I wonder if obviously the 2-hour battery life. I wonder if that's because it's an external battery pack, so on a technical level, they could just have a bigger battery pack, right?
Yeah.
But I wonder if they've kind of very purposely made it only 2 hours, so you have to take it off.
I don't think so. I think it is using so much processing power to do, because it's 2 4K screen. The resolution's ludicrous, because of course it is. And I just think
you got to remember
2 processors. I just genuinely think it needs to suck that much juice up. Also, the battery pack appears to just be attached to the cable. There's no you can't.
Yeah, no, classic Apple.
The fucking battery pack. But also, I mean, think about it. You can't just swap the battery pack out, because then you're turning your entire computer off.
Yeah, Yeah, that's weird. I need to see how that works in practice because it seems really weird. Like the screen thing, because like when they were going over the specs of it, I'm like, okay, so they've got the same processors in that little MacBook Air you want, right? They've got similar screens that are in the.
No, it's got another process. They got the R1 or something.
Yeah, they've got that, and then they've got another processor, and then they've got
M2
screens that are
R1.
better than what's in the iPhones. Apparently, they're curved displays. They're like dome-shaped. Actually, the displays themselves are dome-shaped.
Yeah.
Rather than it having dome-shaped lenses, which sounds fun. And it's just there's so much tech in there, and like those processors are really power efficient. I mean, that MacBook Air gets like a 13-hour battery life, but you're right, it's got so many fucking cameras. It's got like 3 fucking it's got like 5. It's got the tech of the screen on the front, and then the 2 inside displays, and then it's running a pair of speakers, and it's running like all these cameras, and it's running a LiDAR sensor, and it's scanning your eyes constantly, and and it's doing so much fucking shit. So. But the battery pack thing, like if it's an external battery pack on a technical level, there's no reason I'm wondering, right, if the base battery pack is like 2 hours, but like you could pay an extra $500 and get a bigger battery pack. Seems like an Apple thing to do because they charge.
I think the 2 hour is the bigger one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking.
The thing is, like, I'd be fine with it because obviously, if I just can plug it in, if I'm sat at a desk, I can just plug it in, right? I don't care if it's not battery powered, but obviously. I'd want to be able to somehow swap to battery power without having to turn it off.
Mm-hmm. If you're tied to a desk, though, what's the point of it?
No, but this is my thing, right? If I'm just sat at a desk for a few hours, I might as well plug it in. But if I could just unplug from the desk, because it's just like a little magnetic thing, pull the magnet off, put a magnet on for the battery, and walk away seamlessly, that'd be okay. But based on what we've seen, it's not that. You'd have to turn it off, right? You'd have to, because there's no battery in it.
Yeah.
If you unplug it, it's going to turn off, surely.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not 100% convinced by the resolution. Like, I know that's a big number, but also it's really close to you.
They made a point.
Even the best VR headsets we've already got on the market right now have also got really big numbers for their resolution.
No, they didn't say it was a 4K
really
display
blurry because it's really close to your eyes.
They said, what was the specific wording they used? They said that if you had a screen in the VR headset, the screen in the VR headset would be 4K. Didn't say they gave the pixel density. They didn't actually say the resolution of the screens. Interestingly, but I think it's because
4K. It's 4 or 5K.
Yeah, because and they're weird. Like they're curved. They're completely circular, like dome displays, which I appreciate are going to be a bit weird to.
But it's still not going to be nice and razor sharp because no VR headset always is. Because no matter how pixel dense the screen is, it's still a screen that's extraordinarily close to your eyeball.
Well, what? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think the technology exists to have a absolute, crystal clear, perfectly sharp clarity of image like you would have on a big monitor you're sitting a foot or two back from, that close to your eyeball.
I agree.
But you are missing out on one of the new technological advancements they did, where they have managed to shrink down a pixel to 1/64th of the size of an iPhone pixel.
Yeah, apparently they are fucking tiny pixels, like they are.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? I'm having a look. So apparently the PPI of the display is 3,680 pixels per inch, which is ludicrous sounding.
Quite a bit.
Someone estimated the Vision Pro resolution per eye being 3,200 by 3,600 per eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. 11.5 million pixels per screen. And the screens are the size of a postage stamp. So... like, they made a big deal that the lenses and the way that the screens are built, that you shouldn't be able to see the pixels. But I don't know. Like, I need to try the fucking thing. We're not buying one. It's $3.5 fucking grand.
Yeah.
Look, I emailed Apple Press for the first time, being like, "Hey, can we have a free one?" Admittedly, Sony didn't even send us a PSVR 2, so I don't know if Apple are going to send us a free one.
Well, I hate the PSVR 1. 2 is apparently a lot better, but I don't know, because I'm not going to buy one, because what's the point?
What's the point? It's how it compares to the Index. Actually, the big one is the the Rift. What's it called? The Rift Pro.
Yeah?
Like the big one. Because before a while ago, I remember we were looking at the Rift, and I really wanted to get one, just because you could hack a Beat Saber and play it at a park and have like the longest comical. Like you would have to sprint across a park to play all of Beat Saber, because it could track you in just massive environments. That sounds so fun. And we didn't, because Facebook and Facebook had just the worst people. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to actually make VR a thing, because for the longest time it's kind of just sat in this weird little niche.
Well, it's a niche, and I'll explain why it's a niche. Because VR is fucking incredible, right? You put on a VR headset, you're in a different place, hacking at monsters, playing Beat Saber Queen. It's fucking amazing, right? You cannot share that experience.
No.
There is no way. Like, if I put on that Apple TV motherfucker, I'm like, yeah, let's watch a film. We all need one. It's the same problem 3D TV had. I mean, it's Bloomberg reporting that Apple wants to shift 900,000 of these in the first year. Which I think is going to be a hard push.
I could see them selling that many,
I just want to go on one thing you said there, which is, I think there is a way to make VR a cool party thing, which is, at one point when we had some friends over and I cracked out the VR and set it up, I also mirrored it to both the visual and the sound to the TV, so people could see what the person was seeing. And people actually quite enjoyed watching other people doing the VR. Like, there is a way, but, like, I don't think it's ever a thing that anyone's going to be doing routinely day to day. Like, you know, if I've got a quiet evening, I might sit down for like 4 hours and enjoy some Civ 6 or some Elden Ring or some Skyrim or something I like going back to, some Total War, for example. I don't think I would ever do that. There's no VR game I would do that with. VR games I might nip into for the experience for 20, 30 minutes, occasionally.
Yeah,
I think there's still a lot of VR and a lot of augmented reality that's still novelty factor and gimmick experience stuff.
Oh yeah, like I play I can't remember what it is. Like a real-time strategy kind of thing on the VR. And it's not a great game. Like, out of all the strategy games I played, it's like sort of in the bottom half. But the fact that I get to see the little men, and I get to see the little planes flying around that I'm guiding, and I get to guide them by drawing a line in 3D to where I want them to go and bomb shit, is fucking amazing. And it elevates it so much.
But it's still just a fun experience you wouldn't want to do every day.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
These headsets do not yet have the utility that means either personally or professionally, I see a use case where people actually would need and want to be making them a routine part of their lives.
Well, have you heard, like, in Meta, right? Because obviously Meta keeps trying to fucking push the metaverse. Let's do everything in virtual reality, right?
Yeah.
And they've shifted their entire business focus to that. And they've had to repeatedly, they've given all of their staff a fucking, like, Oculus. And they had to keep putting out things being like, hey, you have to use them for at least an hour a day. Because no one was fucking, even in the office where they're making them, they're not fucking using them because as we've established, no matter how good the experience is, they're uncomfortable to wear. Your face gets sweaty, and like
I hear a lot of people say this. I hear people, when they're talking about, certain headsets and certain things and certain expenses. Like, I didn't follow the Apple news hugely, but I did see some people saying on Twitter, like, oh, well, bear in mind, based on the price tag and the name, it's obviously a professional tool for corporate purchasers, etc. The consumer version will come later. I was like, okay. I have worked in professional corporate space for better part of a decade before I started doing this, in big offices and in tiny offices, and I cannot think of one instance or one job or one anything where we would have all benefited from having either virtual reality or augmented reality. I do not know when people just kind of wave a flag at this because say, oh, it's for the corporate clients. Like, yes, but what are these corporations doing with them?
They showed in the keynote that one of the things they showed was like it was a bunch of people in a room doing a meeting, but they were mocking up a production line, like a physical production line, using 3D models in the physical space, and they were placing them where they would want to place them, and they could all see where they were. Yeah. Physically, so they were laying it out in virtual reality in real time, in real place, and but obviously that's a very niche. That's not a thing you're not going to be planning a new factory every day, are you?
No. I mean, I do because I like those kind of video games.
Well, yeah.
I want to say I've been reading because lots of people have had a hands-on with it now. Almost every single review has had a variation of this line. The headset was comfortable, with a cushy fabric lining around the face, a headband keeping it strapped to my head. But like every other headset I've tested, it's starting to feel a bit heavy and uncomfortable by the end of my 30-minute demo.
And
that's going to kill it. That's going to literally, it's useless.
Because they are marketing it the way they have entirely, like everything about that keynote, they were like, the implication was you always keep it on, right? Like, if someone comes up and talks to you, you keep it on. You're just doing stuff around the house, you're making dinner, it's on. Like, everything was just everyone just kind of going about their day with it on.
Yeah.
But we obviously did that fucking Desert Bus VR thing, and obviously, I like to think half of the appeal of that and half of why it was a bit of a marathon for us is because we sat in a VR headset for 8 hours.
Yeah, it was
because
the
it's
most
fucking uncomfortable. Yeah.
Physically, I've been in a VR headset. Incidentally, have you seen all the videos that people filmed when they announced the price? And all the people groan in the audience at the Apple thing.
I did see some mass groans, yes. That was quite fun.
That's
the best audience groan I've seen since Blizzard decided to announce mobile gaming.
No, there was...
you guys have phones? Do you guys have headsets?
No,
Is this
do you
a
remember
joke?
A few years ago, Apple announced their big fancy monitor, right? Their 6K fucking monitor, and they were like, it's £5,000, and then the stand is an optional extra for $1,000, and the entire audience went, ooh! And it was wonderful to watch because you're watching the guy on stage react to the fact that everyone went, ooh, and he looks like he's about to die.
But I feel like this is a different thing because they're kind of pitching this as where they're going in the future. I think this is their future vision. While everyone else seems to be fucking on with the idea of a foldable phone, they've gone, well, what about this AR version of that connectivity? And it just, as much as it's a cool fucking gimmick and it's really fun, VR is really fun, I don't want to live in the VR until it is comfortable.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm reading a Verge article here.
Unfortunately, as somebody who wears glasses that get uncomfortable, there is a limit to the amount of fucking weight you can have on your face.
Well,
yes.
no, so
this is going to require a new form of, I think, absolute new, entire type of micro technology where you can effectively just put on a pair of glasses that are the same weight and size as a pair of glasses, and it could just magically spray stuff on the screens. And that technology does not exist right now, and someone's going to have to invent it before this is going to have the level of adoption Facebook already wishes it did.
Google Lens tried to do that.
Yeah.
And they failed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
because people were really uncomfortable that anybody with glasses on could be recording them.
This says, its screen looks much better than any other VR headset. The field of view is much wider. The gesture control is much more natural. It got heavy on my face after a while.
Yeah.
And that's it. Dead on arrival.
Yep.
And one of their big things is that Verge have been, because they brought up the whole thing you were saying, John, about a lot of the things is how often are you looking at a 3D model of a body? And they have a theory that it's a TV. And it's because that was how they ended the keynote as well. They went, if you bought a home cinema system, it would cost you more than this. And it's yeah, but that's a communal experience. Daniel, you have that light projector that you got quite cheap for less than a normal Vive.
Less than a tenth of the price for that full projector setup of this Vision Pro.
And obviously, we can
100-inch
watch
projector.
And we watch it in a group. Sit down with some friends and crack out some popcorn and drinks and watch something on a big screen. Yeah.
Yeah, and alternatively, we could buy £10,000 worth of AR Apple headsets and then all sit there with them on and watch them and have the basic same experience.
And what's funny about that is it's actually slightly more than £10,000. It's 10,500 we'd need for the same experience.
And that's it.
Do they sync up in any way, or do we just have to go now?
I don't think they mentioned that. However, for the longest time on the iPhones and the iPads, they've touted, because you can do synced AR experiences where they are drawn in the same physical space on different phones. So I am fully expecting it to do that. I mean, there was a bit in the keynote where they had multiple people wearing them and they were all walking around the same 3D object. And I say iPhones can currently do that. So that's definitely something they'll be able to do.
Okay, so just to confirm what we've said this episode so far, COVID not going to be a thing, Switch is going to be a failure, this Apple thing dead on arrival. All right, good. Let's add it to the list of things we've predicted.
Add it to the list. Which I find weird.
What was that?
Doesn't have any built-in audio.
No, it does.
Must have built-in headphones.
It does. It's got those. It's got the headphones like the Oculus has, where they don't actually come down. They're above your ears and they fired sound down.
Oh, okay.
They were advertised. They advertised a lot of. They were it can work with AirPods as well if you want private listening. They were if you want noise cancelling, obviously put normal AirPods in, it'll noise cancel.
Yeah, they've got to be not noise cancelling, because the whole point is you've got to be able to engage with the space around you while you've got these.
But they said you could use both. You can either use the built-in ones that kind of are completely open, or you can, if you want to be they showed it off on an airplane and putting noise cancelling headphones in and completely isolating yourself, so it didn't sound like you're on the airplane and whatever. That they showed that off, so you can do both. But again, it's you want that, you're paying another to add a £300 pair of headphones on top of what you're already paying, and it's just it's classic Apple to make something just so. I mean, there was this. The reason I keep bringing it back to the AirPods Max is because when the AirPods Max released, right, they came out. You remember, Daniel, right? Because a while ago we were trying to find a good pair of over-ear sort of noise cancelling headphones for Rebecca.
Yeah.
And I just went on Amazon and I bought all of them. I just got all of them delivered, and I went, okay, we're going to try all of them, and we're going to send the rest back. And we went through loads of them, but all of them were like £200-ish, right? They were all, even the high-end ones, they were all about £200.
Yeah.
That's how much those things are. And Apple then came out a few years ago and went, hey, we're entering this market. Our offering is £500. And everyone went, but I can buy 2 of the other one for that price. And everyone was confused where they were entering the market because they made something that was like, if you really want high-end professional headphones, you're going to be paying £1,000 for really fancy audiophile grade headphones, right? If you want the convenience, why would you pay £500? Admittedly, the AirPods Max, like a year later, suddenly started to be sold for half price everywhere that wasn't Apple. That's why I got them, because you were able to get them for almost the price of the other ones. But the Vision Pro it's not, even if it's half price, it's still three times the price of an Index.
Yeah.
And I don't...
But it's not trying to be a VR headset. It's trying to be this own special new thing.
Yeah, this mixed reality. I
think they want it to replace your phone in the long run. I think they were like,
That's
this is how...
interesting. Does it have that functionality right now?
I don't know.
Well,
is it like enabled to
what they were
to
showing
3G,
off
4G, 5G, whatever?
Well, I don't know if it can do 3D, 4D, 5G, but what they were showing in the thing is that it has its own apps and that it like has a desktop processor and it can do all the desktop apps and it can run. You can do FaceTime calls and everything they showed off was like, hey, you can use this instead of your Mac or your iPhone. It wasn't like you can use them with them, as obviously, but everything they showed off was always this does it all on its own.
Yeah,
which is, and then there becomes an argument, obviously. You know, even if the $3,500 price, right? You know, if you were to buy, let's say you were to buy like that fucking MacBook, right? Which similar specs, and then you bought like a really nice couple of really nice monitors, and you bought some really nice stuff. You'd probably be spending near that. Maybe that's what they're banking on. That instead of people spending a bunch of money on a load of nice equipment, they'll just buy the one headset. But even then, I'm like,
Well, here's the thing, right? You're in a crowded city place. You want to check the time.
Yeah.
You get your phone out, you go, that's the time. You don't want to put a headset on, turn it on, calibrate, wait, loading, computer. Oh, that's the time.
Isn't the implication that you would always be wearing the glasses under that scenario? If
no,
it's
because it's only
replacing
got
everything.
2 hours of battery life.
But that's the thing. They can sell you an Apple Watch for £300 to go with it, Daniel.
Now, hang on. Could it be like, your phone where when it's in your pocket with its thing closed, it's not using its battery? Like, you wear it all the time and then you tap the side of your head and it wakes up really fast or something. And only then is it eating into its battery life proper.
No, because if it's off, you can't see anything.
Oh. Okay, right.
It's video pass-through that's apparently perfect. Apparently it is like you are just not wearing the goggles, but it is video pass-through. It's not like...
It needs to be on for you to see.
Yeah.
Because you're literally just looking at
I feel like I'm going to struggle to... I feel like I'd be not walking as smoothly and naturally as I feel like I'm going to fall over with them.
I feel like, especially considering it's only just a little thing on the top, that's the most scalable piece of technology anyone's ever come up with.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, you could just go yoink off the back of someone's head.
Yeah, given very famously there have been instances of people just going around on mopeds to snatch a phone out of people's hands. This is a much bigger prize that's much easier to grab.
Yeah, so it's not going to be replacing the phone. I think it's to be used in an office to do big screens, as long as you don't have any friends.
Plus, when we're talking about phones, obviously part of what Apple makes a fuck ton of money of is they routinely ask people to upgrade their phones. You can't do that if the price is that high. Even if you find some people willing to pay that much, they will lower the price.
That's an opening price. That's
one.
100% that price is going to come down, and they're going to 100% in 2 years going to release a Vision Air, and it's going to be like £1,000 or something, which is still expensive, but it's obviously a whole different.
But then you're in the same space as high-end VR headsets. You're in a similar price point then.
They're doing what they did with like tablets and stuff. Is they're going, this is actually not going to compete with laptops. This is a different market.
Yeah.
And they know
one of the
what
things
they're
I
doing.
appreciate that Apple
I'm not going to say that
that
Apple don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
What I am saying is that I know VR. I didn't know phones, didn't know tablets. I know VR. I know what's comfortable. And I know that uncomfortableness and that nausea that you get very early on, because you'll have that even with video pass-through.
Yeah.
You'll get that it's not perfectly one to one, so there will be nausea to it, and that people are going to try it in the Apple Store and go, no, that made me feel sick, and that's it. You've lost that sale forever.
Yeah.
People aren't going to come back to that because people aren't going to be willing to put that effort in. Because why would
that's
they?
the curiosity? Because as you said, it's like everyone keeps trying to make it a new product category, right? Like Meta have been doing that for fucking ages, and I just. Apple have repeatedly shown, because when they announced the fucking iPad, I was laughing at it, because I'm like, it's just a big iPhone. It can't do anything different. It's just a bigger screen.
Yeah.
Why would I want that? And obviously, at this point now, basically, Apple make the only tablets people want.
That's not
There's
true.
a reason they control 95% of
Come
the...
on.
I love my little cheapy Android tablet that I read.
No, I know, but
there are lots of Android tablets that are perfectly
there's
successful.
a lot of Android tablets, but there's a reason iPads are like 90% of the entire tablet market. Like, it's not... It's iPads. Like, because iPhones, obviously, iPhones are maybe 50% of the market of phones, but iPads are just dominating that space. Same with Apple Watches, right? Like, in the smartwatch space, it's all fucking Apple Watches. It's like 90% fucking Apple Watches. And I don't know if that's what they're hoping to do with fucking VR. I don't know if they'll make the experience just so good and specific that people will only want that one, but it's not like a watch. Like, a watch, people understand what a watch is, right? Like, people wear a fucking watch. You can use it for health tracking. Oh, a tablet. What can you do with the tablet? It's a drawing tablet now. Oh, people like drawing tablets.
In quarter 2 2022, Android made up 49% of the tablet market, Apple 38%.
Yeah, I did not believe that 10% number. That sounded like bullshit to me.
Windows 11.
Windows 11?
11%.
Ah.
So Android, there's a lot more, because Androids are cheaper and better for what people want from a tablet.
And if people have already got if people are already using Android, compatible systems on other devices, they're going to want their tablet to work nicely with it.
Yeah. Well,
Then you're naturally going
to...
You're intuitively going to skew towards a similar compatible operating system for your phone and your tablets.
Have a look who has the largest smartwatch share.
It's definitely Apple for that
Apple,
one.
43%.
Okay. Where the fuck did I get that figure from?
You just
made it up. You're
the exact reason I don't want to get a fucking MacBook Air.
I've read it somewhere.
I just want a nice thing to write on, but that fucking Windows is a piece of shit. And
Linux,
I love it on my Steam Deck, but dear fucking God, you have to fight it all the time.
As much as Apple is a dick a lot of the time, their stuff is well built and works.
The problem with Apple, right? Because Apple were always the ludicrously expensive twat option.
Yes.
Right? They were always ludicrously expensive. This is for people who don't understand that you can get something a lot better for cheaper, but this is the fashionable one. And then, in recent years, they've invented their stupid Apple Silicon, which is fucking incredible technology. And it's starting to really blow stuff out the fucking water. And I'm just looking at it going, fuck you.
God, have you seen that?
I still don't get this new tech. Like, you at the dawn of the iPod and the iPhone and the iPad, I get what they were doing and I get why it would be usable and exactly what the use case is and how it might fit into people's day-to-day lives on an ongoing basis. I do not understand this, where it's supposed to fit into people's lives.
No, I agree.
I think previously they found a thing they wanted to do and then they came up with the technology to make it happen. I think on this case, they've come up with the technology first and now they're desperately trying to come up with use cases to sell it, which is exactly what Facebook has done with Meta. They came up with the technology first and they can't figure out how to fit it into people's lives.
You need to put that in the past tense because Meta's been shut down. The metaverse stuff is gone. And this was like Apple's attempt to do that metaverse stuff.
Yeah.
There's a weird... So when they announced the Apple Watch, right, and I bring this up because they announced the Apple Watch and they went, hey, you need an Apple Watch. And everyone was like, why? Like, I have a watch. If you have a watch, you have a watch. It tells the time. Why do you need it to do anything else? And they kept trying to kind of create this product category. And then for years, they were kind of giving it to developers, and developers made loads of apps for the Apple Watch. But what ended up happening after about 5 years is all the Apple Watch apps just started disappearing. Loads of apps that were on the Apple Watch for years just kind of went away because no one was fucking using them. And now every year they come out and they're like, well, if we added the Apple Watch, they're like, oh, we've added a Snoopy watch face. And everyone's like, okay, what else? And they're like, and it's just, they fail to create, it's obviously a product category that exists. I fucking have one because I use it for health tracking. But like, that's a kind of thing they tried and it died almost. And I wonder if that'll happen with the Vision Pro. They're going to try and create the same thing and it's just going to kind of peter out a bit. But it's really interesting, just because obviously every time Apple does something like this, it is a big industry thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, smartwatches didn't really take off.
But that's my point.
And
It's exactly my point.
I had a smartwatch, I got it for free with my phone, and I used it for a little bit, and I went, I hate this. What's the point of putting this fucking stupid thing on my thing?
Yeah.
Because it takes 2 seconds to get my phone out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Much
Check the
smaller,
time.
lighter health tracking watches seem to be. No, that's a big category. That's
is-
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, smaller, but they were around before.
Also, I
Apple
quite
were
enjoy
doing
that the
smart
state of
stuff.
just
They're
stuff
all-
that you
remember
wear on your
pedometers?
wrist used to be everyone wore the thing that tells the time on their wrist. Then, like, watches significantly dropped off just because people all of a sudden had phones that told them what the time was, when that became a thing. And then watches kind of made a bit of a comeback in the health tracking industry.
Yeah, but they were around before the smartwatch. They were kind of, because everyone had, you had pedometers and stuff, and it was like, well, let's put it around the wrist. Well, we could check blood pressure, and doing that sort of stuff. And that was the thing that kicked down. And we were like, oh, integrate that, because that's what they do, is they just see all of the things and they glue it all in one package. That's kind of what they do. But no, smart watches just I don't really see them having a kind of future stuff. Those fitness ones, though, are pretty good.
Well, yeah,
But the thing is, if you go to a nice gym, I go to a nice gym. It's all the tracking stuff gets done on the machinery. So fuck it.
Well, yeah.
Don't need one
Like,
of those.
I got a nice watch, but the reason I got one is because I wanted to keep an eye on my fucking blood oxygen level because I had a blood clot like that. But I wouldn't have really
seems
bothered
like
otherwise.
A good reason to get one.
Yeah, like it
I can
tracks
see-
my health, it tracks my sleeping. Like there's some uses for
it
this.
getting a lot more-
Stopping you dying is good.
I can see them pushing into the American market a lot more if they team up with like health insurance people. It's like if you wear your Apple Watch 24/7 and track all this data, you get a discount on your health insurance.
I mean, it's evil, but I can see it working, yes.
Yeah, that is like
But
how I think they'll get a lot more.
But this is the thing with the
penetration.
watch, right? The watch, I put a watch on and it's there. It's just a watch, right? I don't have to think about it. It's just on my wrist. It's just there. It's unobtrusive. The VR head, that fucking AR headset, it is the most distracting possible piece of technology you could ever use.
Yeah,
The watch I can ignore. I forget I'm wearing it. I just don't. My original Vive broke. It's broken. I haven't gotten a new headset, and it's just because they're so expensive, and I use them very little. And when I do, I just hot, and I'm like,
yeah.
I want something comfortable that isn't going to be hot. What Apple clearly wants to do is exactly what I would like, but it's going to be heavy and uncomfortable. It's going to last 2 hours, and I'm going to stop using it.
I mean, the best addition I ever got for my VR headset was air conditioning in my office.
Yes.
That was legitimately, that made it so much nicer to use. And that air conditioning was cheaper than the fucking... It was
Amazing.
cheaper than the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Including the headset. Add the headset and the air conditioning together. It's about the same
Well,
as
actually,
the
you could
Vision
get the
Pro.
headset, you could get air conditioning, and you could buy a computer to power the headset for less
Yeah.
money than the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, just definitely do not buy this first version. Wait for a few iterations and see where they take
But
it.
the thing is, if no one buys
Maybe,
it,
like,
there isn't-
by the third one, it might be getting into something interesting.
Yeah, if they do a lighter, thinner, svelter version, I'm sort of into it. But for what they're doing for, like, I don't mind that the thing is heavy, because I only really want to play it for 2 hours, because I'm, jumping around and being a fucking loon in VR. But when it comes to, they're like, this is productive software, I'm like, I'm not only productive for 2 hours a day, I know I've got ADHD,
Yeah.
but, like, I'm not, this aren't my, like, 2 productive hours. At one point, they revealed they've got a virtual floating keyboard you could use. Fuck whoever decided to be bother coding that. There's no point to that. That would be one of the worst things.
I'm assuming that was done by the same person who put a QWERTY keyboard on the new Apple Watches. Hilarious.
Jesus. It's a full... You know what? Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, you can type with a full QWERTY keyboard on the fucking watch. And weirdly, it's actually not as bad as it seems, but it's ridiculous.
It definitely will be bad, though. There's no...
No, it's bad. It's not as bad as you'd think, but it's still
I've never
bad.
done this, but my mind immediately goes to The Simpsons, and the fingers you have dialed with are too fat. to
Literally.
obtain an Apple QWERTY dialing wand, mash
Well,
the
I
key,
always
mash your
think
watch
of that-
with your palm now.
You know that Peter
sure.
Serafinowicz sketch where he makes the Mac-Tini and it's just a Mac with a single button and like, press the key 23 times to type a U. You know?
Yeah.
That's always what I think.
The Onion one with the Mac wheel on the laptop Mac. We had to spin the wheel to touch every letter.
It's peak Apple,
that.
right? But like,
Basically, Apple got irritating recently because their actual processing power of their devices is starting to get leagues above other people.
no, them taking that in house, right? Because I think I mentioned to you, I have in my drawer, I have a little MacBook that I got in 2014. And it's so thin, there's nothing to it, there's no fan, right? And it's Apple clearly designed this thing and went, this is this wonderful tiny little laptop, right? And then clearly went, and people think this is why that laptop is why they started developing their own silicon. Because then they put this Intel chip in it and went, oh my God, it's so shit because of this chip, and we can't do anything better.
Yeah.
And they were going, we can't make what we want because we don't have the chips for it. And then they started doing them, and it's like, oh my God, they're amazing. The fact that, like, this laptop I do all the editing on now, this outperforms. This laptop easily outperforms in rendering tasks a full, like, 3090
my computer,
desktop computer. Yeah, which is
my
insane.
computer.
Because the laptop I've got is half the price of your computer, and is a laptop that I can take with me.
That was the thing. Like, Apple used to be we're very expensive, fuck you, sort of, it's fashionable, it's cool, you've got an iPhone, but now they're getting to the point where they're like, actually, we're the cheaper alternative.
There's a bit of a value proposition to some of it now, admittedly.
Yeah, and that's why the fucking MacBook Air came out, and I'm like, I like the idea.
We were joking, right? Because they also announced an Apple Silicon Mac Pro, which is
thing's got 129 gigs of fucking RAM, GPU and regular RAM glued together or something. It is ridiculous.
If you go on the Apple site, right, let's back out. It's an M2 Ultra with a 24-core CPU, 76-core GPU, and 32-core neural engine processor for AI. 192 gigs of unified memory, which includes VRAM because it's all one. 8TB SSD, and it's how much is that tower? That is £12,000.
Yeah, that's.
But then
you could.
But this is the thing: we've bought really high-end computers for like similar prices to that.
Yeah.
So I look at that, I'm actually like, that's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
In the past, when you were speccing out a computer, you'd spec it out with the exact same chip you'd put on a PC, and it'd be 3 times the price. You'd be like, what the fuck am I paying for?
I mean, the other thing that's really helping Apple is that graphics cards, especially graphics cards, have become so ludicrously fucking expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And, in the case of the 4060, so ludicrously shit.
Oh, yeah.
The 4060 is a fucking awful bit of kit for a huge fucking price for how much you're getting out of it.
How much is it?
I don't know. If it's more than free, they're ripping you off.
Because $3,000 or something.
It barely outperforms like fucking. I think it doesn't outperform the 2080.
It's $300.
Yeah, it's a piece of fuck because it's their really cheap one, but it is a piece of fucking
That's a lot less
shit.
I thought.
But the price of like the 4080, and that's just lunacy. I can't remember. It's a lot.
Well, because we bought 3090s because we were like, these are going to last forever, right?
No, I want a 3090 because I want to do high intensity things like making games.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, we bought them with the idea that they will last a long time because they're so high end that we'll be able to keep them for ages.
Yeah. We won't need
and they brought the 40, and we bought that and went, oh my God, it's the most expensive graphics card that's ever existed. Why is this so expensive? And they're huge. Daniel had to put his PC in a new fucking case because the graphics card wouldn't fit in the old one.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hilarious. And then they announced the 4090, which is bigger and almost 50% more expensive than the 3090.
Yeah.
It's £1,580. It's just a graphics card. We're talking about the Vision Pro being fucking $3.5 grand. Fucking NVIDIA are charging $1,500 for a single component.
Oh, yeah, but when you're building a gaming PC, like, very often the GPU is the single most expensive component. That's not surprising.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to spend another fucking grand on a decent CPU to go with it.
Yes. True. Yeah.
You know.
So, yeah, probably $3-4 grand for a really top-end gaming PC, absolutely.
Yeah, but as we've established, though, that graphics card isn't actually... I mean, they announced Cyberpunk with the full ray tracing mode, so you know how shadows don't draw in Cyberpunk until you're next to them? Wow, with full ray tracing, they do. Low bar. But they were showing it on a 4090, and they were like, look, with all the ray tracing on a 4090, with DLSS on performance mode, you can get 30. And I'm like, wow, 30? For $1.5 grand? 30?
Yeah.
Oof.
The bit that I don't understand with Apple's, though, is why, when they're doing all this stuff, are they not at any point just saying, hey, now that, gaming is a bigger space than music and movies combined, why are we not, focusing on making our machines being accessible gaming machines?
They did do a gaming section of the Mac bit. They kind of went, hey, we're adding a game mode like Windows have that, lowers the latency on your, PlayStation 5 controller or your Xbox controller, and, it turns all the background processors off, and it really improves the performance of the game, and yada, yada, yada. And then they were like, hey, we're trying to get more game developers to make stuff for Apple Silicon because the Apple Metal is their like DirectX version is really good. And then they brought Kojima out, and Kojima was like, I'm going to port all my games to the Mac. And they're clearly trying
that's
a bit.
significantly below the absolute bare fucking minimum. Like,
No,
if they
I
want
agree.
their a large number of people are not going to buy a machine unless, one, it does the worky stuff they want it to do, and two, it plays the games they want to play.
Well,
like,
this
absolute
is
bare fucking minimum for a large number of people. Like, I will never buy an Apple machine because I want to play new games when they come out.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest problems with the Apple machines as well is that, like, for the longest time, you were able to load of games on the Mac, right? And then they went, hey, I want to say like 7 years ago or something, they were like, hey, we're dropping support for 32-bit in the next update. Then you update, and then suddenly every old 32-bit game just stopped working.
Yeah.
And all these games, obviously, you know, developers aren't updating their games to 64-bit after 7 years. Like, stacking didn't get updated. Well, why would Double Fine aren't going to go back to stacking to make a 64-bit version after fucking 10 years, are they?
No, functionally, you've just taken a ridiculously large amount of gaming history and made it abandonware on that platform.
For the Mac. And then, so you're doing that for ages, and then they moved to Apple Silicon, and then they went, okay, most of those games that were previously on Mac don't run anymore either. And then it just makes this there's the constant, if you're an iOS developer.
It's the most hilariously dumb thing that they're not fixing. Like, it's just, I look at it, I can't understand how you wouldn't, like, put that at the top of your to-do list ahead of, let's charge $3,500 for some dumb goggles nobody's going to buy.
It's because, people are going to buy them.
Okay, some idiots are going to buy.
It's because Apple, excuse me, want consistency across all of their things. So if you're on the iPhone, if you're on the fucking Vision Pro bullshit, if you got a Mac, all of those, they want the consistency. So if there is a game for one of those, it's got to work on all of those. Mm-hmm. And so that means they scale everything down to the Apple Arcade and the mobile phone. So basically anything above a mobile phone level game, they don't give a shit about. That's not what they're for.
But this is the frustrating thing. They occasionally try, but it's always lip service. Like getting Kojima out to be like, oh, they're putting Death Stranding to the
Jesus
Mac.
Christ, who is excited to play Death Stranding now?
Jesus Christ.
How long? When did that come out? Has it been 5 years?
But this is the thing. Apple, they pay it like a lip service. Like that. It's like there's like a couple of guys at Apple occasionally like raising their hands and being like, hey, we should do something about this. And they go, all right, Jim, we'll add a bit for Jim.
Yeah.
But
okay, only 4 years. Okay, it's only taken 4 years for people to be able to play Death Stranding.
If I open the App Store,
Jesus
right, if I open the App Store on the Mac and I go into Play, which is where the games live, what's at the top here? You've got games we love. Asphalt 9 is the top one. Great iPhone and
9?
No. Yeah.
How do you have 9 games? I've not even heard of any of them.
No, ridiculous. Great iPhone and iPad games that work with Mac on Apple Silicon. So just a lot of, it's like, GTA Vice City, the mobile version. And then for like,
the new one.
And then for normal games, the top paid game for the Mac on the Mac App Store is The Sims 2.
Wow.
Notably. The Sims 2 Complete Collection. Then it's Resident Evil Village, which apparently got a very good Mac port. Psychonauts 2.
But again, there's like literally been a different Resident Evil come out in the meantime.
Yeah.
Which we should talk about because it's really fucking good.
I've not played it. I want to
talk
about Tears of the fucking Kingdom. I want to talk about The Crew 3.
The Crew 3?
Yeah, they've announced The Crew 3 ages ago. I didn't clock it. Yeah, right? It's not called The Crew 3, it's called The Crew something else, right? What's the best bit about The Crew?
Going on a road trip with friends.
Going on a road trip with friends. What have they taken out of The Crew 3?
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, they can't have done. You're joking.
It's set on one island. Like one little Hawaiian tropical island.
Oh, they're doing a test Star Unlimited.
The Crew 2 was set in the whole of the USA.
So
we proved it.
Yes.
But,
God.
No.
But, God.
No, you can't. No, you must be wrong. You've made a mistake.
No.
I would have hoped they'd have been like, hey, it's all of Europe.
No developer could be that dumb.
God.
It's impossible for a team of humans to be that stupid.
God.
Like, they would not be able to make it to their office. They'd, like, walk out into the road without looking and be run over before they made it to their PCs to make that bad a decision.
Ubisoft's official website, the newest iteration.
Oh, Ubisoft, okay, fine.
In the Crew franchise, it's called the Crew Motorfest. The Crew Motorfest lets you fulfill the driving bucket list of your dreams on a beautiful Hawaiian open world.
Right.
So, what, they've made, like, a fake Hawaiian island the size of the USA?
But again, Test Drive Unlimited 1 does already exist. Like, I can just go and play that if I want to drive around a one-to-one Hawaii.
Yeah.
So.
But okay, here's the thing. Like, here's the games I might want to play on a typical week. I might want to play some older games that are just old favourites of mine, and I might want to play some Elden Ring. And I'm pretty sure I can't do any of that on an Apple PC right now.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've opened up Steam,
games,
right?
no, fuck you. New games, no, fuck you.
I've
I
opened
can
up
play
Steam.
Civ 6. They've got Civ 6.
Yeah.
Great. I can play one game I want to play on an Apple PC.
Well, there's two. It always
And I'm
used to be the
aggressively
thing.
saying Apple PC because I'm pretty sure that's technically wrong, and I know it's annoying someone.
Before they moved
I know
to
that's
Apple
really
Silicon.
pissed off someone down there. Someone who's listening is really fucking angry
Before
at
you
me.
moved to Apple Silicon, right, you were able to obviously just install Windows as a dual boot and just boot into Windows. And just play stuff on there, but you can't do that anymore, obviously, with Apple Silicon. Windows 11's fucking ARM version shit. Like, I've opened Steam. I've got 1,716 games on Steam. How many do you think work on a current Mac?
312.
I'm going to say lower than that. I'm going to say 240.
You know what's amazing? Daniel was incredibly close. It's actually 321.
Oh!
Yeah. But it's like, it's Aerofly FS2, AI Dungeons.
Basically, what I did was I went, how many of those would work on Linux on my Steam Deck, and then reduce it by like 100.
Yeah,
Amazing.
you know, Brutal Legends here, Broforce, Button City, fucking Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for some reason.
But mostly
Democracy
very simple
3.
games.
Yeah, City Skyline, Disco Elysium, Dirt 4. It's just a lot of, like, occasional bits. Like, if you were on a Mac, you could play some games, but if you wanted to play games, you wouldn't get a Mac, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, you
This
have a
just
Mac, and you're like,
feels, this just feels insane to me. That, like,
Planet
this
Coaster's
is
on that.
not... Fixing this is not the first thing you do when you make computers. And people playing video games on computers is one of the primary things they use their computer for, and is the biggest entertainment industry on the planet.
well, one of the things
Like,
they did
it feels...
apparently...
I don't understand how people are not being fired on a day-to-day
One of the
basis until they
things-
fix this.
One of the things they announced during it is they partnered with Unity, they said. They partnered for the AR thing, but also for the Mac, and were like, hey, we've changed our development tools so that you can port a game to Apple Silicon in days, not months. So in theory, people who want to port their games to the Mac, who make a PC version,
But they
should be
shouldn't
able
need to.
to.
You should just be able to play it.
No, but I
Jesus.
appreciate, obviously, if you're making a game for an x86 system, you can't make it work on an ARM system without a bit of a change. Like, just technologically, it's a completely different architecture.
Put it in words I can understand, Professor.
Well, the fucking...
English, damn it!
Do you remember how when the
God
PS4
damn
and
it,
the
Professor.
Xbox,
Not all of us speak this science gobbledygook.
when the PS4 and the Xbox One announced, and they were like, hey, they're x86 based now, and everyone went, oh, that's good because PC ports are going to be way easier. Because you don't have to completely change the underlying architecture to port your game to the system. Whereas Apple Silicon is running on ARM, which is what, like, phones run on? Which is just the you know how, like, x86 is, like, based on DOS, right?
Yeah.
No, but carry on.
Literally,
In English,
ARM-based...
Professor.
ARM-based systems are literally working in a completely different way from the bare metal. Like, they are completely different. Which is why, when Apple were like, hey, we're moving to Apple Silicon, they had to make this big deal of going, hey, we've built all these translation layers, and we've built all of these systems so that you can still use applications from x86. It's going through this complicated... It's a mess, and I think it's worth it for the performance you're getting, but yeah, it's a problem constantly, because yeah, for gaming, it's just shockingly bad. You know, most of these games that I'm listing on Steam, they're being translated from x86 versions, so they're not going to run great. There's very few games that are built for Apple Silicon, like Resident Evil 8 is.
Well, I mean, there is a
Death
reason for that.
Stranding's gonna be.
We bumped into this when we did the little mobile game, is you can't submit anything on PC to go to Macs. Even if you test it, you have to submit it through a Apple product. You need to own Apple hardware to be able to send that off, which means you need to be running, basically, if you're making a big game, you've got to be running a lot of Apple hardware.
There's a reason, right? There's a reason. The prediction that the Mac Mini, the cheapest Mac you can buy that's just a small little box, the joke forever has always just been, that only exists for developers who just need to get a Mac. For like base iOS development, because it is the cheapest one you can buy. No frills, doesn't come with a keyboard and mouse, it's just a tiny little box.
And surely any time they did any form of consumer research, and like they asked people to, like, you know, as you might do in like a survey, ask people to rank how important is this, that, or the other in your purchasing decision for what device, as a desktop system you might buy next. The ability to play video games has got to always rank massively higher than I want to be able to have a consistent experience on every app between my PC and my tablet and my phone.
I would say that the sort of people who they sell things to, people who play phones, don't understand what good video games are.
I mean, do you think there's more money in trying to create a entirely walled off garden where you lock people into always buying your products on desktop and tablet and phone? That can't be worth more money to them than suddenly getting access to a huge number of people who will never buy the product because they want to play brand new games when they come out. But it adds the scale of the gaming industry, that cannot be worth it to them.
It adds a consistency. If they know what software's going in and out, it's easier to fix problems. It's easier to go, oh, look.
The thing is, we can criticize Apple's business decisions all we want, but they are the biggest company on the planet. So they must be doing something, right? And because whenever I've bought Macs, there's a reason I've always had a fucking PC as well as a Mac, because I like using the Mac for most things, but then I'm like, I want to play video games, and I can't do that on this.
Yeah.
I've always had to have another system, and I've always hated having another system, because it's just a faff having another entire computer for one specific use. Yes, this laptop I have has the technical capability to play all the games. They could work. It has the power. I just can't. So then I have to spend loads of money on another thing, which is annoying. And most people can't do that.
Just to put this into context, Apple are the 7th largest company by
Why are you just spreading all of this Apple propaganda today, man? Why are you coming out and be like, Apple, biggest company in the world, 90% of all tablets belong to Apple.
They were the largest company in the world.
Apple actually saved my mum. She was getting hit by a train, but they pushed her out of the way. Thank you, Apple. We love you, Apple.
They were the
what
first
the fuck is up with you, Matt?
They were the first company to hit $1 trillion, weren't
they? You're thinking of the market cap?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
I don't know why you're thinking of market cap. No one thinks of that. But I was doing by revenue.
Okay, yeah, fair.
To see which is the big. Number one's Walmart, by the way.
Yeah. Walmart, then Saudi Aramco, which I'm assuming is oil.
Nope.
Then Amazon.
State Grid Corporation of China, China National Petroleum Corporation, China Petrochemical Corporation, Saudi Aramco, and then Apple.
Yeah. And ExxonMobil. It's a lot of oil companies, Walmart, Amazon, and Apple.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But either way, I
Is there any more made-up fake Apple facts you'd like to share with us,
Well,
Matt?
no, there's a thing that Rebecca always says, right? Because every time I have a conversation with Rebecca, they're like, why would I buy something if I can't play games on it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good a Mac is.
Completely
What's
great.
the point?
I mean, this is why I liked my Chromebook, because I couldn't play games on it and it meant I could focus.
Yeah.
So them not playing games is actually a selling point for me.
Yeah. I mean, I have that a bit, because, the laptop is the one I use for work. That's what I'm using to do everything that isn't just, fucking off, basically.
Yeah.
Which is nice, and it's focusing, but again, you just have to have multiple fucking devices. Years and years and years ago, when I only had one computer, I used to have a Mac, a 15-inch MacBook, but I had Windows on it as well, so it could do everything. But if I was in that same position now, I probably wouldn't have a Mac because I couldn't do everything with it like I could then.
Yeah.
I'd probably buy a fucking Windows PC, as much as I hate Windows.
Windows is just getting slowly so awful.
Now? It's always been awful.
Oh, no, but it's just every update just takes more and more control away from you. And then there's people over at Linux going, join us. I'm like, no, I don't want that much control.
Yeah, they're like, hey, do you want to not run any app? And I'm like, no.
You know what I want, right? I want what the human body gives me, right?
Yeah.
I want to go, I'm in a situation where I need to breathe manually now. I'm going to breathe manually, but most of the time, I'd like you to do that automatically for me.
Yeah.
And there's people at Linux going, well, why don't you just want to breathe manually all the time every day? And then they just drop dead because they forgot to make their heartbeat. And that's just too much for me. And then there's Mac, and they just can't breathe unless Apple let them. And I like that middle ground, but it's just slowly shifting the Apple way. And it's just like...
the Macs have more control, but like, fucking on Windows, God, Windows 11 was like, hello, what if you didn't have seconds on your clock? And I'm like, but I want seconds on my clock. And it's like, you can't anymore. And I'm like, I can't.
Windows was like, what if you didn't have the fucking date on any of your clocks?
Yeah, and then in the last fucking big Windows 11 update, we're like, you can enable seconds on your system clock. And I'm like, wow.
You absolute flippin' sucker, because I'm just sitting here on Windows 10 with the little, hey, your Windows 11 free updates waiting for you anytime you want it, just sitting down there at the bottom right. And I'm saying, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah, but DirectX 12, John. DirectX 12 is the shit. DirectX 12 is wonderful.
I don't care about DirectX 12.
I mean, that's the only reason fucking Flight Simulator runs, like, with any reasonable degree is because of fucking DirectX 12. Like, it's a low bar, admit, but it's...
Hey, let's talk about something that isn't Apple. Let's talk about Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, go on. What? You've got many thoughts.
Well, I finished it.
Yeah.
80 hours, start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What hugely loved by everyone. Everyone agrees. 10 out of 10, best video game ever made. I'm glad you agree. All right, moving straight on to
really solid 7 or 8.
I agree.
Yeah,
have you played it, Matt?
Yeah.
How much have you played?
Fine. Okay, I just kind of start playing it, and you know the big thing, and Daniel will agree with me here, is there's just so much fucking talking, and I don't care.
Oh, I skipped the cutscenes.
No, I kept trying to. I'm like, oh, it's like, I get out the thing, it's like, okay, please walk over there to a guy, and then I spent 5 minutes just walking over to a guy, and the guy's like, oh, for like 5 minutes. And then they're like, okay, walk back to where you were.
Zelda NPC.
And then like, walk back to where you were and talk to another guy. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just fanning on for ages,
so,
and
You're a bullshit person to me if you skip the cutscene. I never dare skip a cutscene video game because I know it's just going to happen.
Right.
The cutscene's going to start and I'm just walking into a village. Going, oh, hello, Lila. Lovely to see you. And I'm going to press start and the village is going to be on fire and everyone's going to be dead.
John.
Oh, shit, who killed Lila? Fuck, does anyone see you did this?
I could be sitting there going, this story is shit. But I'm like, I'm going to watch it. Because I have to. Like, first playthrough, I got to watch that fucking story. But, right, with the Zelda thing, they have to explain, you get, like, a little follower for each of the main 4 dungeons that you do. And you have to explain to them, with cutscenes, every single thing. Every single fucking plot point has to be explained to them all individually. So the amount of conversations that you have when you finish or you're going into a dungeon, you have these same fucking talking bits. I'm just like, no, I've seen this. You're just going to show me the flashback of like how that character was slightly involved in a thing that I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
It's got so many bits where I'm like, just stop. And the amount of fucking going down to the shrine. It's a cutscene. It's a cutscene. We're arriving cutscene. Talking to you cutscene. You finish the shrine. Oh, skippable dialogue cutscene as you go back up. And I'm like, just stop. Just stop all of this shit, right? Just please, just for the love of fucking God. Like, and I know this game could do stuff, because you could, like, fucking dive from the highest heights into the fucking lowest lows, and if you go super quick, you can cause a bit of a stutter. But, like, it's fucking loads really quickly. I don't know why you're fucking on... Like, technologically, it's a fucking incredible piece of work. It's a technological marvel. It truly is. The fact that thing's running on a Switch, it makes so many game releases look just embarrassing.
Maybe one day they'll improve Scarlet and Violet.
What? I've tried Scarlet and Violet so many times, and I'm like, this is shit.
Oh no, fuck you. It's exactly what I want a Pokemon game to be. Okay, it's technically shit, but it's what I want a Pokemon game to be.
The game might be good, but it is so shit. I'm like, I'm going to wait for some patches.
Have they not patched it yet?
They patched it once, and the frame rate didn't improve.
Great. Yeah. Of course they fucking did.
And they patched it again, they're like, now you can trade Pokemon with a thing you don't use. I'm like, oh,
I love Game Freak. Great.
Yeah, whereas this is like the fact they're on the same system is fucking baffling. Because you've got this massive open... Well, because spoilers from this point on of Legend of Zelda, just little things. I'm not going to do plot or anything because it's shit. Zelda's doing this thing. Yeah, I worked it out. I worked out the entire plot from the second fucking cutscene. That's when you revealed enough information for me to go, oh, this. And then it just was that plot for 80 fucking hours. And the ending, absolutely fucking shit. Also, it's got... It's like, oh, this is further on. We're going to be doing... This is 5-something years in the future of the last time you're going to see all the stuff. And I'm like seeing the old map and how it's changed and all that. But where's the fucking big robot beasts?
You build them yourself now. You build your own fucking big robots.
Where did the dungeons go from the last game, right? You've got these massive fucking huge things that helped you out in the last game. Here's the thing. If you've got an opening cutscene where a big bad starts destroying stuff, have him destroy those. blow those up so you could go, hey, you know those things in the last game that helped you defeat Ganon? This Ganon's so cool, he can blow them up remotely. You're really fucked. No, they're just not there.
Oh.
That annoys me. That annoys me that there's not even a hint of them. Like, I understand that they would have taken all the Guardians apart and built things with them. That makes sense. But the massive fucking stomping robots of death that were everywhere, and they're just like, yeah, they're gone. But maybe they
I
are
can
in
accept
there.
that as just a gameplay necessity in the same way that, like, there's no reason, even though Majora's Mask follows directly on for Ocarina of Time, well, why has Link not got all of his upgrades and all his health and all his magic meter and all the equipment he had in Ocarina of Time?
John.
And he just mysteriously didn't have it with him that
John,
day. So, you know what? I'm fine with that.
They explain all that. In this
And
game,
that's not even 5 years. That was like straight afterwards. Like Link literally went from the end of Ocarina of Time to go find Navi in Majora's Mask, and on the way decided to just shrug off 80% of his health bar and leave it at home.
Oh, literally, you start the game with like the super maximum peak health and like the Master Sword and everything, and then you lose it all when Ganon turns up.
I'm gonna. I've not played
there's
this
a
yet,
slot.
and
There's a slot for where it could fit.
I've been putting it off because I'm scared of it. Because everyone keeps putting on Twitter, like, 3-part fucking Robot Wars creations that's a mech that can fly and, and also, like, wanks gold at the enemies in order to make them die. And I know I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna build a wheelbarrow and it's gonna explode and
It's
kill me.
definitely got
And
less focus than Breath of the Wild.
I'm just gonna be fucking embarrassed.
John, you won't, because that building system is, sorry everybody, shite. And the reason it's shite is because the sheer amount of limitations put on it. Like, it's like you can attach 20 bits together, which is fucking great. Okay, 20 bits is fine. I like 20 bits. And you get the new bits by going to these gacha machines around the world and waiting for a cutscene to happen, and then waiting for all of them to go and come out, and then you can pick them up. And the duplication bug, I use that a lot to get as many of those as possible, because I just wanted the pieces. And then I leveled up my battery to max, which incidentally you can do twice. And then I got, just by playing the game and exploring the game, because the exploration is second to none. It's fucking incredible. Got the outfit that meant that lasted twice as long. So I basically had 32 full batteries and all the stuff I wanted to build. And I was like, shit, here we go. And I started building stuff. And every time I came up against a wall, every time there's a limitation. It's like, no, you can't do that. No, that's not allowed. It's like you can fuse a spring onto your shield so you can bounce on your shield. Really fun idea. Do you know how many times you're allowed to bounce on your shield?
Or is it fucking twice?
3 to 5.
1. You're allowed 1 bounce on that shield. And then it's like, no, that's broken now. The spring's gone. And that's my problem with it, is it gives you all of these things. It's like, yeah, but play the game, though. It gives you all these tools, and then it limits you so fucking hard that at one point, I was like, I literally just want to get to the end of this now. I just want to be done. I hate my time with this game. This game is an incredible game, and it's got so many things I hate about it. And it's so incredible, it still gets like a 7 or 8, but it's got so much I hate. Like the arrows, every single time you want to fire an arrow and put something on it, you have to craft that arrow individually. And it's for a game about preparation, because you've got to, if you're going to go somewhere, you make all your food. And you make sure you've got the right outfit. And especially if you're going into the underground bit, you've got to make sure you've got all of the, special potions and the shit that you've made, elixirs with the Sunderline or whatever the fuck it was called, to go down there and you're getting ready. But you can't prepare arrows. Like, I would have loved it if you had, like, arrows on your back and you could craft, like, 5 or 6. At the start, and then you could increase that slightly as you went on in the game. And they were arrows, and that was the only arrows you had. You had to craft them at a fireplace. So you limit the player in that way, because that's limiting the player in the preparation way. And I don't mind limiting the player in the preparation way, which this game really seems to fucking like. But you have to literally, every time you get an arrow, pause the game with the menu, flick through 400 fucking objects, because it's in one. All of the items in the game, food, materials, everything, the Zonai things you build with, all of it in one bar that you have to scroll through the entire thing of to get the one thing that you want to equip to an arrow, to have fun in that particular second. And it's like, yeah, you could build these devices that do all this shit, but like, again, going in there with a big hammery sword thing is the easiest, best option that's fastest. I don't understand why you would want to do anything else. And it's endless shit like that. It's just so... Like, weapon degradation's fucking shit. And I hate that the weapon degradation's fucking shit. It's just shit. It's a big pile of shit, and I hate it. And the fuse makes it slightly more bearable, because things last slightly longer. But it also means that finding weapons becomes useless. By the time you've killed quite a few of the high level bad guys, any shit stick you equip a thing to, you've got a pretty decent weapon. And if you've stocked up on the things, then you basically stocked up on infinite weapons. And so I'm like, why are these breaking? Like, they're just kind of like, it just feels like ammo more than like, when it opens a chest, it's a one-use rock, or it's a weapon that's going to break.
Like, it's the same problem that Breath of the Wild had, wasn't it? And that it was just this constant... I know they want you to keep changing... I understand the game mechanic of they want you to keep trying different things, and I understand that, but...
I don't, because I play through Elden Ring, and I try so many different weapons and so many different builds as I'm playing, because they made the combat fun. Combat is not fun in Tears of the Kingdom. You've got, like, the one slash. You've got the slash with the light weapon and the heavy slash. And that's it. All the weapons in the game... spear stab. All the weapons in the game go in those three. I cannot think of a weapon that falls outside of those three. Jab, slash, big stab.
I think it's a bit unfair to criticise a game because it doesn't have the combat depth of a Souls game.
But okay.
Well, that is that entire game's entire thing.
But when you introduce an entirely
and also
new
to compare
mechanic...
any game directly to Elden Ring, say, well, it's not as good as Zelda Ring, so fuck it, 7 out of 10.
But no, what I'm saying is specifically the open world games where you will explore a dungeon and you will be rewarded with a weapon. The weapon in Elden Ring means a lot more because that is a weapon I can then look at and go, oh, if I level this thing up, I could use this. And it ties into the gameplay. Whereas this, I'm like, all right, it's like getting like 3 shotgun shells as a reward. It's like, all right, I'll put that on the heap. There's no, or if if I've already got a full set of weapons, which I normally do, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll leave that there then.
Yeah,
these are very different games that don't really benefit from comparison.
No, but I think they do benefit from comparison because they're both trying to get me to. It was for Matt's point. They were both trying to get me to try their different weapons out. That's what they were trying to do. That's what it was about. It's trying to make you do different tactics and different things. And with Elden Ring, which is combat focused, well, why don't we just do different kinds of combat and kind of make interesting weapons and weapons with sort of negative effects and things that you have to deal with and all, interesting ways like that. And in this, it's just like, well, it doesn't matter. They just smash. And so it just feels like one rewarded me as a player and one punished me as a player. And it felt like by the end of that game, it was just an abusive relationship of just let me do the thing I want to do. I just kept going. I want to do the thing. Like I'm building a thing, right? I'm building this thing and it's fun. And I've built a thing and I've saved the blueprint of this thing, right? So it's like 10 different parts. It's a car. I've saved the blueprint onto the saving blueprint ability. I now want to rebuild that. It's later in the game. I'm going to use that blueprint to rebuild the thing. Does it use the parts that you have saved up, which you can have hundreds and hundreds of? No, it uses a limited resource. But what you can do is individually get all of those parts out and then go to the blueprint, and it will then use those items that you've dropped down on the floor. But then what's the point of having the blueprint option? Why don't I just build the thing manually every time? And it's stuff like that. I'm like, why have you done it this way? Why are you making me use this limited thing instead of using the thing that I actually have? Because using this limited thing to build a thing, which I already have. I've got hundreds of the fucking things. Why do I have to get everything out of the fucking menu every 5 minutes for you? It's just...
This feels like a thing that will probably be patched at some point just as a small quality of life update.
I don't think so. I genuinely just think it's this weird philosophy they got. Like, well, it's convenient, and so convenient has to cost you. That's kind of the game is... The game has a real, like... In its mechanics, a real theme of decay. Like, all the weapons that you pick up are decayed because of the thing that's happened. And all of the... It's all decay, 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 decay. Everything's decay. The land's falling apart, decay, decay. But the plot's like, hey, let's rebuild everything. I'm like, but that's what... That's the antithesis of your theme. Why are you doing it that way around? I don't understand. That's my review of Tears of the Kingdom. I don't understand. Right?
It feels a bit like I know you didn't really get on with Breath of the Wild very much, but Breath of the Wild had a lot of problems. But those problems, in some ways, because it didn't have a lot of deep complexity. Those problems weren't as highlighted as they are in Tears of the Kingdom. Whereas
it was
now,
just, Breath of the Wild bugged me because the first time I played it, I was like, I'm going to go off an adventure, and I was basically railroaded because of those shit shrines that were like, hey, you have to fight this guy forever. I'm like, but I don't have weapons, and it's like, well, fuck you, I guess. And then, you go sailing off to a thing, and it's all that shit. Like, I never found out... Breath of the Wild, I was like, once I started playing it like as my Animal Crossing calm down game at the end of the day, I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And Tears of the Kingdom I played in the same way. It was my calm end of the day sort of just like wind down sort of thing. But it just kept infuriating me to the point where I had to stop playing it at night because it was literally just keying me up before bed.
Well, I watched you as you were playing it because you were kind of enjoying it, and you started getting to a bit where you kind of just hit a bit of a wall with it.
Because what it does is those first, like, that first island is magical because it's giving you all of these new tools. And it's like, look at these tools, look at this shit we're giving you, look at this big fucking tutorial. I really hate the opening, really slow walking scene. Fuck all that shit, that was awful. But when you get out in the island, it's great. And you're like, yeah. And the exploration, like I've said, that overworld and the dungeony stuff, the Sky Islands, it's all fucking great. Sky Islands actually were the weakest point, I think. They were just very repetitive. If you weren't, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to get a cross-shaped one. That has a catapult thing on it that takes you to a thing where there's a Korok seed, and there's the vending machine over there. This is the shrine where I teleport. But to open that, I've got to go get the green thing and solve a really basic puzzle. Like, that kind of just felt very copy-paste, whereas the underground was the best bit. And then just seeing how Hyrule had changed was kind of fun as well. And the fact you started in the middle of the game I felt was nice. A lot of nice stuff there. Really enjoyed that stuff. And that's what kept me going, was that exploration of going, oh my goodness, I don't know what's coming next. But what annoyed me is that, like, the rewards at the end of all the exploration sessions, unless it was an outfit, were shit. Because nothing lasts. And there's no... You know, if it's going like, here's an opal, I'm like, I don't care. I can equip that to a staff and it'll do lightning-y things. But, like, the easiest way is to get arrows with all the shock fruits that I have to zap people. Like, if I need to use an element thing, I'm going to do it via arrows, because you've got 2 different ways, like maybe even 3 different ways of getting those elements out. Even though that system's shit, it's the easiest, most convenient one. Why would I want a limited weapon when I can just have a really strong weapon and get that element attack through bows and arrows? And it's got, I don't know, it didn't jump, and the more I played it, because it really front loads its ideas. Like, within the first 10 hours, you've seen everything mechanically that game can do. I don't think there's any mechanic that is after that 10 hours. I mean, the blueprint thing, you kind of have to wander around to find a little bit, but everything else you've got, you know, within those 10 hours, you're like, oh, okay.
Is that partly a function if you're saying you're using duplication bugs, you just get parts way earlier than you should do, and actually they should have been more spaced out over the game?
No, I found because I didn't want to duplicate money, and I didn't want to duplicate, like, weapons or anything. I just wanted to duplicate the thing that is just so I could build silly things. I was not progressing with the things that I glitched into the game. Right? I was just using an infinite amount of them because I was like, this is the fun bit. The building the besiege style weapons and stuff is the fun bit. And
it feels like the progression was supposed to be that you start off building smaller, modest things that you slowly add to as the game goes on, and you just skip to putting yourself into sandbox mode.
No, because there is no purpose to building anything. Apart from to solve the puzzles in the shrine, at no point did I ever find that building anything was useful. I put rockets on my shields all the time, because when you use the shield, you just blast off in the air, and then you get not infinite, but you get loads of slow motion shots in the sky, which is really, you know, you can knock everybody down before you come back down. That's a thing that I really enjoy doing. But, like, and you'd fuse whatever the strongest thing was to your sword, which I wish you just did automatically, to be honest. But, like, building, like, oh, I'm going to build a car to go this fast, like, there wasn't ever really a point. Like, I didn't use my horse, I just ran everywhere, and then activate a shrine, and then you can fast travel there. And, like, I don't need to build a car, because the cars are, you know, it's just faff, innit? It's just an extra bit of faff. Just
It's a lot of faff in that game. That's why I bounced off it immediately, because it kind of opens up, and it's like, hey, go to these 4 places, and I kind of just went, oh, everything feels kind of like a faff.
Yeah,
everything's just a bit of a faff.
All the 4 places are very similar, which definitely thinks. But there's stuff like, so if you build a plane, right, you get the wing glider, which is the gliding bit, and you're like, I'm going to glide on this thing, right? You get 300 meters from where you started, and it breaks. It dissolves.
Yes.
No matter what battery life you've got left, the actual physical body of the thing will break if it travels more than 300 meters, because otherwise you could just fly around the map, and the developers didn't want that.
When I'm at
the end of the game, when I can just fucking fly around the map and zoom up into everything that I want to, none of that is actually... It's just really limiting, and I'm like, oh. Like, I was there going, oh, all these limitations are to stop me doing the thing, and I'll remove them, but, like, none of those limitations got removed. And I'd love to just be able to, like, put a plane out and just fly around, because it's really... The mechanics on it are beautiful. You can pilot it by just standing on different bits of it. You stand at the back, it pulls up. You stand at the front, it goes down, left, right, on the left and the right wing. You know, mechanically, it's stunning. But these limitations just keep stopping the fun. The amount of time I'm building something, I'm like, oh my god, this is so fun. And then it just starts flashing, and you're like, oh, okay, that's
one
great.
of your big things that you really liked about Just Cause 4 was the fact it just kind of let you do whatever.
Yeah.
Even though it was a bit of a mess, the freedom is
yeah, I mean,
enjoyable.
Just Cause 4 limits it in its own shit ways, but they're not really that limiting once you get to the end of the game, because you can summon 6 or 7 different things, and the cooldown time's like nothing. You know,
yeah, weirdly, that was pretty much the exact thing in reverse for me. That's why I bounced off the modern Just Causes. I just got bored with them because I just had so many, I just had so many options straight away from the start of the game that, it became I found it was a really boring chore to go round all the towns because, sure I had all these toys, but, I had so many superpowers available to me. It was just facile to go around and knock down all the statues and blow up all the things. And I just got bored of it because I felt like, okay, it's 10 minutes in and the game's given me, more toys than I will ever need.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that that's a different kind of playstyle, but this is a game that is going for that playstyle and then not committing to it. It's you can build these weird fucking mechs and stupid shits and things like that. And I did a stream when I was just building stupid shit. But the amount of times it would not work, or it would just fucking stop working after a while. I was trying to build a helicopter using the gliders, because I was like, if they're providing lift when they go forward, if I put them on a rotating helicopter, a rotating thing, then that should give lift, and maybe it'll lift the whole thing up. But during testing, they start flashing green and then they break because they've travelled 300 metres. And I go, oh, that's fucking shit.
Just you bounce. It gives you a lot of freedom and then you kind of bounce off.
Yeah.
John, why haven't you played it yet?
As I say, I'm terrified because everyone I see on Twitter is building fucking mechas that could spawn at other mechas that go and hunt the final boss down or something, and I'm scared that I'm going to make a wheelbarrow that falls over and looks stupid. So I'm terrified of the game because I'm terrible at games like Besiege. I'm really terrible at those building games. But honestly, hearing you discuss it's made me more interested in it. 100% I'm going to get to it sooner.
I'm really curious to see what you think about it, because I feel like me and Daniel had different sort of opinions on Breath of the Wild. Because my favourite bit of Breath of the Wild was just, I loved the shrines. I just liked the puzzles. They're just the main bit I like.
Oh, the shrines are way better. Way better.
The puzzles are so good. I mean, one of the things in Breath of the Wild that again, it's kind of, they have these mechanics. Early on in Breath of the Wild, there's a bit where they're trying to tutorialize you something quite specific, but when I first played it, I didn't even realise. Where it's, you need to get over a gap, and the way you get over the gap is you just cut a tree down and you use the tree as a bridge.
Yeah.
Which is
you
very
never
clever.
do again in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Whereas in this, it is doing more of that. You're doing a lot of physics interactions. I mean, there's that one that was going about on Twitter, where it was like a dynamic rope bridge with with wheels.
Yeah.
And every game developer was retweeting that going, people think this is not that hard, but every game designer is looking at this and screaming.
Yeah.
Because it is working flawlessly. And it's doing so many impressive puzzles and interesting bits. It also just feels a bit unfocused as well.
It's limitations in the... I understand the limitation of if you put a steering wheel on something in that game, the steering control, everything just activates.
Yeah.
There's no button you can press. So if you've attached loads of springs to give a car a jump, all the springs will activate and then you just unsprings, right? You can't activate stuff. So that kind of limits things. The weapons will fire automatically. If you put a homing lock on the weapon, you can't then drive it. I noticed that you couldn't drive something that had the turrets that aimed, which I felt was just, all right. It's another limitation of that's just, you're just trying to... You've given me tools to make me an unkillable god, and you're limiting them in a really unfun way. Smaller, weaker tools, making me build catapults and shit would have been more fun. And actually having a reason to use them, because, again, apart from, the places where you have to use them, because that's the puzzle or the intended navigation, just didn't use any of them, ever, for anything. Because they weren't... By the end of the game, by the time I got to the end, I was like, this just isn't fun. And I finished the game, it then gives you, a percentage of how much of the game you beat. And I beat about 20% of the game. Side quest, shrines, and all that stuff. About 20%, I think it sort of averaged out to. And I was done. I was well done. I was like, there's nothing new coming, and I just want to get to the end of this. And I just, the dungeons are shit again. Actually, that's a lie. There's one really good dungeon. The desert dungeon is really good. And it feels like a proper Zelda-y dungeon, and it's kind of weird, but I loved its vibe and its design. The fire dungeon in that game is the worst dungeon in any Zelda game I've ever played, and I'm pretty sure I played all of them.
Oh, hang on. Have you played Phantom Hourglass?
Yeah, I hated the
No, I'm
DS
sorry.
game.
Nothing is worse than the central Phantom dungeon of Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah, no, this is definitely worse than that.
No,
Because
I do not accept it.
Because in that dungeon, you actually have to do things, whereas in this fire dungeon, you don't have to do anything because it's about like rails and getting across these rails and working out a thing. But all of the dungeon's very vertical in sort of like crisscrossing paths. But you can just parachute from one bit to the other. I walked through it. It took me about 4 minutes. Like, I really was just like, oh, I gotta go up there. Climb. Or like rocket boost, climb. You know, I'm just like... it's kind of... I mean, yeah, I hated it. I really hated that dungeon. It really made me angry. You gotta have the one specific suit on, and then you have a boss who was shit. It takes 10 seconds to work out what to do, and then about 40 minutes to beat them.
But this is why I've not... When Breath of the Wild came out, because I played it on the Wii U, because of course I did. I was the one person who played it on the Wii U. But when that came out, a lot of it felt so new and interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That I kind of kept going back to it. I was really excited to explore that world and explore the mechanics. And I've struggled... I'm not really picking it up, because I kind of... When I was going into it, I'm like, well, it's the same game with all these kind of physics objects in, which is neat, but I'm not really...
Yeah, it's really very little change. Like, the overworld changed so much, I wish they'd advertised more. Of course, there's the second world underground that is great and has a really fun mechanic. And is genuinely the only bit I will go back is to fully finish exploring that. And I like stuff like, you know, there's some chests that give you a map. And then you get that map, and that map's for the underground, and you go in the underground, you got to try and find that, and that'll give you, like, an old costume piece. And that's fun. That was my favourite of the game. Was getting those treasure chests. And it's just an X on the map that you go to, which means that it's actually worse treasure chesting than Chia, which is...
This is the thing. I feel like the older I get, the less I'm interested in these big games with loads of content. Where I played Chia and I went, this is so fucking focused, and it's like 10 hours, and I had a great fucking time. And Zelda, I'm like, there's loads of things to do here, but it's a bit overwhelming, and I can't be bothered.
I mean, I must admit that you're talking to me and John, who are basically playing Elden Ring non-stop.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I love
honestly,
a big game.
No. Honestly, even though I keep going back to Elden Ring, 100%, there is a part of me that looks at Elden Ring and thinks, is Elden Ring a little bit too big? Like... Do I do it, like, you know, by the time I get to Mountaintops of the Giants, I basically feel like I'm done with a given character. That's as far as a character after my first has ever got. Like, by the time I get to Mountaintop of the Giants, I can't be fucked with doing the Mountaintop of the Giants. Never mind wrapping up the deep root depths. Never mind wrapping up all the shit in the blood air around Morga. Never mind probably some other underground bits I've forgotten. Like, at that point, I just rush to Fire Giant and get that game done and move on to a different character. I feel like there's an element to which Elden Ring might, for me, be almost a tiny bit too large for replaying.
I must say that I think once you beat the Fire Giant, the game kind of then escorts you to the end of the game.
Well, it depends whether you've done the other stuff. Like, you know, have you gone to, like, Miquella's Halig Tree at that point or not? Or the rest of the snowfields?
You divert in that sort of way, but it does kind of go, here's a new location.
Like, I'm not 100% sure at what point in the game you're kind of supposed to go to the Halig Tree. To be perfectly honest, like it's one of those, like,
that bitch is horrifying.
Which I kind of like in a way, because I don't know when I'm supposed to go to Caelid.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose technically you'd argue, well, you've got to go to Caelid to get half of the Dectus Medallion to get into Lindell, but actually, or the Altus Plateau, but also you don't, because you can just go up and beat the dragon, and you can just bypass it, like, you can bypass. And I really like the fact you can bypass just about any, like, barrier. There's always an alternative way around to basically everything, even whether it's a warp or it's just a
But that's the thing, is the thing that's in your way there is exploration. It's geography. Yeah. What's stopping you from progressing through the game there is the thing that's in the way. There's a big castle in my way. I'll either
unless you find the path around it.
Go around it or go through it. You know, there's I found that if you go and defeat the second version of the first boss and then go back, skip the first boss, go to the second version, kill that one. If you come back, the first one is gone.
Yeah, you do not need to fight Margit if you
That's
kill
the
Margot first. That's true.
And all those lovely little details and stuff. But that is a game that limits you via its exploration stuff, whereas Zelda, you just kind of go anywhere at all. Because there's no, like, strong... Like, there's, like, different colours enemies that are a bit stronger, but there's no, like, really hard-to-kill enemies in the entire game.
Though, again, Zelda has never been a game about that level of hardcore difficulty where bosses will kick your ass for 10 hours until you finally manage to nail the exact micro you
Breath
need.
of the Wild was very difficult at the start. I remember finding it to be a very difficult game because things would just kill you very quickly and you had to be very clever and stuff. And when you start getting stronger, you stop being clever in Breath of the Wild. And I think that's what kind of put me off of it. But I felt like very quickly in Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, I just kill anything anyway with all these fused weapons that I've got.
You know,
I find it really easy.
Bethesda games do actually have a similar flow to them. Very famously, power creep comes into a Bethesda game where generally when you get towards 2/3 of the way through the game, you have become an unstoppable god.
Yeah.
This is literally...
and very often, especially on the highest difficulties, and especially in survival mode in Fallout 4, the early game is the most interesting bit. So when you are at your weakest, and you actually have to be very strategic about the looting runs and, you know, where you're getting your food and water from, and where you're getting your junk from, and how you slowly build your character up, and how you slowly expand your sphere of influence as you slowly start expanding outwards from the corner of the map you started. Is the most interesting bit of Fallout 4 survival mode.
I played Fallout survival, but with one change.
Yeah.
I turned saving back on because I was playing it on the Steam Deck.
Fair.
And,
just stability issues.
Just stability issues, yeah.
But my thing with survival mode, when I did my big modded playthrough, one of the big things I modded that I actually very specifically modded is I changed all the health and damage because that second kind of 2/3 of the way through when it becomes really easy was kind of ruined it. So I just rebalanced it to make like stuff like Deathclaws and Mile Queen's just so comically hard that even on the higher difficulty I had to run away.
Yeah.
And even then it doesn't matter because by that point you probably have the tools to cripple their legs and cripple all of their limbs and basically, you know, neuter them the moment you see them, regardless of health meter size.
Well, yeah, I just had this ridiculous 2-shot fucking handmade rifle that just killed everything immediately.
Yeah.
The Saints Row. The new Saints Row just had its combat patch, and you could sort of choose how much damage people do to you and how much damage you do to them. And
Stop trying to make Saints Row happen, damn. Saints Row's not going to happen.
It's a good game.
It's dead. Nobody liked it.
I loved it.
It's a good game. We liked it.
It's not a good game, but I loved it.
Fun game.
But the way I set everything up is basically I can one-shot kill anything, but anything can one-shot kill me. And that game has become fucking tense. Like if you go up a stairs and there's two dudes there, you're probably just gonna die. So you actually have to like play it very carefully. And I'm playing this really bizarre current playthrough of like really tense Saints Row, and I genuinely think it's the best fun I've had with the Saints Row.
Oh no, literally, the way one of the big things I did for Fallout 4 in survival mode is I made it so headshots are always an instant kill if you don't have helmet on. But that's true of me. So I would just walk into a room and I would die in one shot.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It's a more fun way than the bullet spongy bullshit that
yeah,
those games.
Whereas in Zelda, I'm kind of going into combat and I'm just like, there's not.
But
it doesn't
why
feel...
are you going into combat? That's the thing, right?
I don't know. I was, and then I went. I kind of do it.
If you go and fight a thing, you'll get a chest.
Yeah, and the chest is like, there's a rusty sword, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, great. I've used 3 rusty swords getting this one. You know, if you go and fight the guys in the underground, you're getting the resource that lets you do the faster spawning. But I'll just get out the fucking menu. And that's kind of. I don't know why we were bothering to do the combat.
Yeah,
again,
it just feels a bit unfocused.
There's not enough reward for the player. Not like in a reward like I need rewards. But like in a progression sense of rewards. I didn't really feel like apart from like health and thingy, I was then progressing. And the health and the stamina upgrades you get from the shrines, the puzzle shrines, which are not combat.
Yeah.
I didn't find a single one of those fucking irritating combat shrines in there, which is lovely. Although the last one I did was a tutorial one, which I thought was very funny. That they're in some order. I cannot work out where they thought I would go when I was playing that game, but I didn't. Or I will say that taking the photos of the individual things in the game is back, and that's the best bit of that game. That's the thing I spent the most time doing.
A lot of games.
The filling in that compendium by taking as nice a photo as possible of all of the things, that's what made me the happiest.
Oh, Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap, basically. That's the best bit about Tears of the Kingdom, because you've got this beautiful open world, and you go, oh, there's a plant I haven't taken a photo of yet. And you kind of go, oh, what's the angle I'm going to do? Where's the thing?
Okay, that's how I'm sold. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this later.
I mean, you have to go through some quests to unlock that shit in this game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, that it's geography that pushes you in Elden Ring, and I think in good games it's geography, but in this it's quests. Like, go to this place, do this thing, go to this place, do this thing.
Yeah, very clever visual and architectural world design is a real skill. And for all of their occasional problems, I think it's one Bethesda have always been very good at.
Yeah.
That you walk into a world and stuff you see on the skyline and the stuff you see nearby to you guide you in a sensible, curated way without ever blocking you from if you just want to say, fuck it, I'm going a different direction. But you get very, organically nudged towards important stuff where you're going to find content.
And that's why Tears of the Kingdom does that as well. It's the world, it's literally a case of, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? And that's the first half of a playthrough. But when that dies off, because you're like, oh, it's another one of these. Oh, it's another one of these. It starts to get a bit of a Ubisoft feel. I think it started to have the Ubisoft rut.
But do you not think the same is true to an extent in Elden Ring, where there is a certain point in the game, hear me out, 2/3 of the way through, where you have now got the spells and the weapon that you are super happy with, you've upgraded them to +10 or +25, depending on whether they're somber or normal, they're basically maxed out, you are now a god, and all you're going to do is get very incrementally stronger, because all of your remaining stat points are just going to go into whatever your primary stat that's scaling best with your weapons is. And ultimately, everything the game's going to give you at this point, armor, weapons, spells, incantations, whatever, you are functionally not going to be using them because you have now got your loadout. Like, the Elden Ring absolutely does, before you get to the end, run out of things to give you that are worth having.
I disagree.
That's a problem with a lot of games, though, admittedly.
I mean, that is most games, but I disagree with Elden Ring, and the reason I fell in love with Elden Ring so much is that right before I think it was the last dungeon or the last but one dungeon I did, it had a new gameplay mechanic in it. It had the lights on the ground, and it had enemies you couldn't kill.
Yep.
And I couldn't work out. I was like, wait, do I get them in the light? Is the light do that? And I had to work out a new gameplay mechanic. And I'm like, 2 bosses away from the end. And
I'm like, that's a mechanic, but that's not. It can't reward you with anything for solving it. Aside from just a handful more rooms.
It was new. It was giving me something new. And you're right, at that point I was probably kitted out with what I would go on to beat the bosses with. But it was like, this game is still giving me surprises. It's still got new shit in it. It still could go... I can still go, I'm an unkillable god. Pang! Uh-oh.
This is arguably my only problem with Elden Ring, which is it's so aggressively, in terms of mechanically, rewards you, given it's almost entirely about combat. And absolutely right, there's some really fun things in dungeons, but ultimately it's about combat.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't beat the shit at the end of that dungeon that's got a big health bar and wants to kill you, then back to the beginning you go.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it boils down to it is about combat, and that's fine. But, as a result of that, the game really, really rewards you for doubling down and specialising. If you spread your points too widely, you fall behind. If you decide that, you're going to have a weapon that's dexterity and intelligence aligned, and you just put all your points into them, you're going to do better. And it means you're ending up in a situation where... you are really incentivized to go nothing. After a certain point where you've got the bare minimum you need in endurance, or, the bare minimum you need, in fact, just ignore arcane, fuck arcane, bare minimum you need in vigor to stay alive.
Right now.
Okay, assuming that you weren't doing an arcane run, though, because, say, discoverability is such an insignificant stat that you're only touching, a tiny fraction of a percent with each point of arcane, there's no point in taking a little bit of arcane. You either want to take 80 arcane or no arcane at all. The game doesn't really like you spreading, and it means spreading your stats. And as a result of that, you get to, there are certain weapons that are going to just inherently turn you into an absolute god-slaying maniac because they have really good scaling versus those stats you've invested in, and every other weapon is useless. If you are not, and there are a lot of big strength swords in this game, and if you're just not investing in strength, then that means maybe 1/3 of the weapons in this entire game just go in the bin. they are useless. There is nothing you can do aside from if you literally respec your character to use them with Renala.
But see, that's
there
the thing.
is nothing to do with them.
They made respecking easy in this game. It costs you one little item that you get quite a lot of, and you just change everything. Just really neatly, cleanly change everything. And I mean, to beat fucking Devil Woman with a fucking long sword, I had to respec twice.
Yep.
While I was trying to, and I thought I was done to the end of the game at that point. I thought my blood claws and everything, I was like, yep, this is me done. I'm going to be fucking fantastic. I'm absolutely going to nail this. And then she came along, and I was like, okay, I need a new strategy.
Yeah, and then fun fact, Radagon's resistant to blood loss. Lol, fuck you.
Yeah, great stuff, isn't it? But that's the thing, is like you can come across one of those things, and after getting battered, you can just go, actually, fuck it. Let's go completely change my character, level up these swords, go, because I've found the somber smithing stone marbles by this point. I can now go and level all those weapons up and just buy the things because I've got so many fucking souls, and I can then have this brand new character like fucking that.
I don't really enjoy that just because I like to feel like I am role-playing as a character who is slowly and cautiously grown. Like, I'm happy to use the respecking to slightly adjust my character in a way that lets me, gives me an extra, 4 points of strength and dexterity so I can use this particular weapon that's still in line with what I want. But I personally and this is just, my choice as a player, I don't like saying, okay, my character who was a wuss who's got everything in intelligence and a little bit of faith, and is a dual mage. Actually, for the next 10 minutes, he's going to be Hercules and just bonk the boss, because that boss is vulnerable to bonking, and then we'll go straight back to being a wuss. Like, to me, I don't like doing it.
I do.
It breaks my quiet internal role play and my sense of who this character is and what I've been growing them towards. It makes everything I've done up to this point feel really inconsequential and dumb and pointless to me, because I've spent all this time I've put her in robes because she's a mage, even if it's not necessarily the best, because fashion over utility, whatever the fuck. If I just turn her into Bonkules for one fight and then turn her straight back, I don't like it. I can't do it.
I can, because I feel like it's my characters getting that desperation level of interacting with these darker magics to try and do this quest that they're on. And that's
Plus, I also don't like how the fact that if you want to try out a new spell, you can, because you're still using the same upgraded staff. But if you want to try out a new sword, fuck you, because if your existing sword's a +7 and you're starting, and the new sword you want to try out's 1, you have no way of knowing whether it's going to be better when you get it to +7.
That I would like. That's a quality of life change I would like to see.
I would like to be able to spend
just show me what it was at level 1
to refund my upgrade stones.
Just show me what the sword was at level 1. That's all I need to do, right?
Yeah.
Let me push a button. This is what it stats for level
fine.
1, and I'll be like,
Resident Evil 4's got a really good system about that, where when you're buying the remake, that just came out.
That's what I was about to say. I don't remember that.
When you're looking to buy a new gun from the merchant, you can compare what that gun will be like when it's been maxed out compared to your current gun when that gun's been maxed out.
Hey.
So you can compare how the two are going to be ultimately.
Yeah, that's neat. I like that.
You can make it because some weapons are slower but more powerful, and some are going to be faster but less powerful. You think, okay, which do I actually want? So you can actually compare, compare like for like, compare base stats, compare max stats, and you can just cycle through those when you're considering whether to buy a new gun or not. It's a really cool feature. It's really lovely, and it really bugs me that yes, Elden Ring, even though you can find the ball bearings for smithing stones and buy them, some of them are right at the end of the game.
Oh yeah,
some of them are right at the end of the fucking game. You have to be well into Mountaintop of the Giants before you could do that. And I wish you could just spend, and I'd be happy to spend a quite big pile of runes to refund my smithing stones so I can try them on something else. Or, as you say, literally just have a button I can push to say, look, show me what this weapon would look like if it was the same level as my currently equipped weapon.
Yeah, you pay.
Because I do not know whether, because this giant fucking sword you've stuff on me, I don't know how good it is.
You do a rune transfer. That's what you want. You want a rune transfer where you push your button. A stone transfer where you just all the stones go on the other one, but it destroys the weapon that they were on originally.
Oh, you can't do that, because the original, almost every weapon in this game is unique and you can only get one of them.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's what I like.
Oh, definitely not, because I'd never do it. I'd never do that. Just let me see what they look like side by side, and let me see if I want to go grinding for the stones to get them. Let me just see them side by side. That'd be fine. The stones does annoy me in Elden Ring, and I wish there was a way of comparing weapons like for like so I could figure out which one was actually good or not.
Yeah. I'm trying to see how long
I completely zoned out because I don't give a fuck about Elden Ring.
That's fine. I zoned out most large parts where you're talking about Apple and Zelda games I've not played, so that's fine.
But you should play it, John. I'm really curious to hear what you think.
I'm going to play it this week.
Come on, you're a YouTuber. You got to get to it, you know?
Have
a big video.
Well, don't do that. We haven't even discussed the huge number of remakes yet.
Oh, God, there's remakes?
There's so many remakes.
2.5 hours in, John.
Don't sound like that. They're actually good this year. I know it's like been like a joke in the video game industry for like so many years. Like, oh, look at these lazy developers and publishers. They just remake and remaster games rather than coming up with new ideas. How lazy they are. But this year they've all been good. Like, that's the weird thing. This year, all the original IP, like Redfall's been absolute trash straight in the bin. The remakes have been good this year. Yeah. Dead Space, good. Resident Evil 4, good. System Shock, good. Advance Wars, good. Silent Hill 2, we'll see about that one. It's hopefully coming out later this year.
I mean, I'm playing the Katamari re-release. We love Katamari. Because I love Katamari. It's fucking great. Runs beautifully on the old Steam Deck. 10 out of 10. Good stuff.
No, seriously, you should play the Resident Evil 4 remake, though. It's actually very good. It's really good.
I played it right after I played Village, and I really just want to be in first person, and I spent the opening being like, I wish I was in first person, and I stopped playing it.
I just really enjoy how right at the start of the game, it stays very close to the structure of the original, and then it diverges a bit more as time goes on once you've got used to what's going on. But I do also enjoy the dumb basement right at the start, just to fuck with you a bit.
Oh, I didn't like it. In the demo, I gave up. Like, that's where I was like, no, I'm not playing this.
The only thing I really hate about Resident Evil 4 is the descriptions for the difficulty, where the game says to you, very specifically, when you're choosing difficulty at the start of the game, if you've played the original Resident Evil 4, you should be playing on a hardcore mode, because you know what's coming up. Yeah. And then literally the first enemy in the game is an enemy type and that doesn't play by any of the rules of the existing Resident Evil 4 and isn't in the original Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you, game, I'm playing on normal. Because literally the first enemy, its head's like, it's one of the, I don't even know what they're called. The ones where the head's like cracked and come off a bit.
Yeah, I remember, I played the demo. I did not like the demo, it was spooky.
And the original, you shoot the first enemy who comes at you, you shoot him in the head, he staggers, you give him the kick, that's it, that's enough to kill him. And this new guy, if you shoot him in the head, well, headshots don't work, because his head's come off, so you can't go into the stagger, so he attacks you and bites you. I was like, but you told me to play the high difficulty, because I knew what I was going into. You can't tell me to do that, and then punish me for using my knowledge of the original, you fucker. I was very annoyed at that, so I just played on normal, and I was happy to do so.
That's completely fair, fuck it. Normal.
Because the game deliberately does fuck with you. I particularly enjoy how they've replaced the banging of Louis in the cupboard with just a zombie doing some carpentry, just to fuck with you.
I like that it's brilliant. I like a game playing with your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. And I just love it. Well, sometimes you'll just be there and yes, this I know precisely what I'm going into. They'll be like, by the way, now you could the lake, you could just it's now a huge area you could fully explore on your boat, and we've just created a brand new play space that wasn't in the original. It's like, yes, love it.
I mean,
now back here's a completely new area that wasn't in the original at all. Now we've just changed the plot entirely. Now back to an area that's exactly like the original, except for one twist, because fuck you.
Do you think it's worth playing the original still, John?
I think the original holds up really nicely. I still really enjoy the original, but equally I really enjoy the original because I know it so well. It's like a comfy blanket.
If you'd never played either game, neither the remake or the original, would you just would you always recommend the remake over it, or would you say play both, or would you? Okay.
I think that's difficult.
Does
it depends.
No.
It depends who I'm speaking to. It depends who I'm speaking to. If the person I'm speaking to is of a generation where they know and are fond of those, very, very early proto third-person shooters that were relatively slow-paced when we were still learning about that genre around the early 2010s, then I'd say go back and play the original first because it still holds up pretty well. If we're dealing with someone who, is maybe a younger person into gaming and hadn't played and wasn't around in that era, they might find the original a little bit clunky. Because they don't have the expectations and knowledge of how to play those games.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. No, that's why I went into.
I think it really depends who I'm speaking to.
7 was the first Resi game I'd ever played, and I played 7 and 8, and I adored them. I'm going
I would
into
just
4.
I would go straight into the remake.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
I think it's fairly smooth. Like, I think it's a really good balance because, like, in the original, you ran around basically with like dumb tank controls, and if you wanted to fire your gun, you had to hold still. Like going into aim mode froze. And in the new one, you can still move, it's just a bit slower. So they're kind of staying true to, like, somehow how the movement works in the original, while still making it a bit smoother for the modern audience
I will
as well.
say, so I played the demo of it, which is up to the end of the villagey best bit, honestly. It's the only bit I really wanted to play. So I'm glad it was a demo. But the knife weapon degradation, I was like, fuck this. I relied on that fucking thing. That thing kept me happy and safe when I first played through it all. I don't like the knife breaking down.
I felt that way at first, but once I got into, I kind of started understanding what the game was wanting me to do with the knife and how, like, you know, basically you spend the knife as a get out of jail free card to avoid damage or to take out an enemy silently or as a way of, like, you know, just parrying attacks or, like, especially as get out of jail free cards with the bosses. Because as long as you've got the knife, you can or you can do like huge amounts of damage to the boss if you've got your knife available to you. Once you kind of understood it as like a currency that you spend. It's like basically like Leon is just a guy, but the knife is the real superhero. It's like, you know, the inanimate carbon rod being carried on The Simpsons, as everyone starts sharing. And basically, Leon's knife is the real hero of that game. And once you understand that, basically, yes, you've got like, you know, a certain amount of knife health, and basically wherever you commit it, you win. It to me, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, but then I can't spam
I
the
came
knife
to be
in a
happy
panic
with the knife
whenever
system.
people come at me. I don't like horror games.
I like horror games.
How are you feeling about the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake?
Yeah, I never played the original, so that I do not know about.
you don't know anything about
play
it.
the original, because they're really releasing those on the old console, the Good Time Boys.
I'm gonna find. There's a lot of games I want to read. Like I've never gotten a chance to play, and I'm quite excited to.
That is gonna be that because in August it's Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 or something of the re-release.
Wait, is it already on PC?
Good old games. Well, not 3. 3 is not. This will be 3's first. I think it's coming to PC. I hope it's coming to PC. But this is
is it called Metal Gear Solid Delta?
That's the remake that's coming out. Before the remake,
why is
it
called Capital Delta?
Because they don't want to release a game with the title 3 in it. Where people are like, well, I didn't play the first 2.
Okay, but
yeah, no.
Delta's the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet.
Yeah, it's fine.
It should be Metal
haven't
Gear
thought about
Solid
it, clearly.
Gamma.
It's fine.
Look,
no, it's not fine. It is not fine to replace a 3 with the 4th letter of the alphabet.
Yeah,
we
You
had this
fucking
discussion on the
hacks.
thing. But anyway, like my thing about that game is
no, I'm not moving on from this.
We are moving on from this because I don't care about that version because they are.
We need to wrap this up soon because I got shit to do.
They literally only did it because no one knows what a capital Gamma looks like, didn't they? Is that why they did it? They skipped Gamma because no one knows. So if they did that, everyone would be like, what the fuck's that symbol? Why is there a weird thing? You're just having to Google it right now, aren't you?
No, I'm Googling when's the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection coming out.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God, that's why they did it. They genuinely called it Delta, not Gamma, because it was the symbol people know a triangle's a... Oh, God. That's made my day so much worse.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's actually ruined my day.
Look, Konami doing something stupid isn't exactly a new thing, John.
Shut up! It doesn't matter because they're releasing Metal Gear Solid Master Collection in August. I think they were saying, which is Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3, the originals, and it's coming to like PlayStation and everything. In fact, it's also got.
When they say Metal Gear Solid 1, does that mean the Twin Snakes remake of the originals, or like the originals?
It'll probably be the original one with the VR and special missions.
Okay, because they've already remade the original one before. They called it Twin Snakes. It was shit.
It was okay.
No, it wasn't. It was shit.
I like Metal Gear Solid 1, but 2 and 3 are like, I think, 2 of the best games ever made. Because you can buy 2 on Good Old Games right now and then install a mod that makes it work perfectly, but 3's never really been out of the place. So replaying 3, I think it was last released on like the PS3, and having like a modern version of it would be really fucking nice. Because then, I don't care what they do with this remake, right? If they're remaking it and they're going to change the camera, because it had a third-person camera in Metal Gear Solid 3, like that followed you around in like the expansion, because they always used to release an expansion pack. Like Metal Gear Solid 2 had Metal Gear Solid Substance, and there was Metal Gear Solid Subsistence for 3, which adds like new modes, and soon this like 2 added a fucking skateboarding minigame. And 3 added like this over-the-shoulder camera, which has become the series staple, but the game didn't honestly work as that, because it was designed for the the fixed static camera. If the remake doesn't have the fixed static camera, it's honestly, I'm just not going to bother with it. But having the original come back out, that's literally... I want all remakes to do this. I want all remakes to go, we're also re-releasing the originals. So whichever one you want, there you fucking go. It's also, I've just realised, got Metal Gear 1 and 2 on it. Which was the original SNES games, I want to say SNES, that start the series off.
I think the very first was the NES, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it might have been a generation before that.
It's been going for a while. But they're also calling it the Master Collection Volume 1. I'm hoping that means we're going to get a Collection 2 that isn't Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, but is the PSP ones. Like, I want to play... fuck whatever the one was called, but I want to play Acid again. Metal Gear Acid was fucking champion. That was great. No one remembers Metal Gear Acid. I do.
You remember
just make that up.
No, there was a card game Metal Gear Solid called Metal Gear Acid.
Daniel has an encyclopedic gaming knowledge for some reason.
You want a card game back.
A Metal Gear... Yes! Who does love card games? Metal
I don't.
Gear. I'm pretty sure it's just Metal Gear Acid.
Also, we really need to wrap this up now, because I got shit I need to do before 5 p.m.
Well, we can just keep talking for a little bit longer. Yeah, Metal Gear Acid was like a card game-based one where you had to do... It looked great. It was a PSP game.
Look, okay, while we're talking about remakes as well, I just want to point out the most ambitious, impressive one that just came out is System Shock, the original, which
Yes,
is
it's been
1994's. 1994 just came out. Like, level geometry, same. Enemy placement, the same. Most of the core mechanics, either the same or kind of retroactively added in from System Shock 2. So functionally, this is basically very similar to the same game that came out in 1994, and it still plays really well. Christ, that was a game that was ahead of its time.
Scared the shit out of me, Showdown.
Because it's still so good.
Absolutely,
it is
shut me up.
wild how well it plays. 20 years later.
Yeah.
And they did not need to change that much. Like, it's still basically the same game, just with a fresh coat of paint and whatnot, and it's still really good. It's incredible.
Horrifying game. Genuinely horrifying.
I'm excited to play.
Really good game.
I pre-ordered that ages ago. There's lots of games I'm excited to get to, and I just haven't bothered.
I want to play loads of that rail one. I saw you played actually months ago. I saw someone else do a thingy on. I was like, I want to see if John's played this already. And
Railway Empire 2.
No, what's another one?
Rail something.
Railway games.
Rail,
you have to be more specific.
One word, Rail G. Railguard.
Railgrade?
Railgrade, that's the one.
Railgrade, yeah, is very much basically like a little train set, because it's not like a huge swap area. It's more like a puzzle game, really.
Yeah, that is what interested me.
Because it's a small train set area, and it says basically find a way to create a very efficient, optimal rail system that just moves goods around in a sensible fashion around this very finite train set, train set table thing.
Yeah, I'm into that shit. Right?
Yeah.
I am into that shit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get your codes for it. It's hard to get them now. No one likes us.
No one likes us, but that's okay, because
Railgrade's really good. Railgrade was really, really interesting. Like, in a way, like, I'll always be drawn to the bigger rail games where it's like, here's a ridiculously dumb map, now set up a continent-spanning rail network. But, like, Railgrade for what it was really good.
I want to play it. I want to play all the railway games. I like railways. That's my age thing. I got old and railways, conveyor belts, fucking pelt me with things that take things to
when you
places.
think about it, a train is basically just a railway is just a very large conveyor belt.
Oh,
basically.
That's the good shit right there. Say that again, John?
Yeah. What if instead of, like, building railways everywhere, we just built conveyor belts instead? It's basically the same thing, but then you wouldn't need a train.
I do love the airport.
That's just a fucking Elon Musk thing. Fuck, shut up, John.
Like, if we just... think about it. Like, right now, we've got these rails everywhere. We have to, flatten the ground and make it suitable for trains. And then, even after you've laid the tracks, you still need fucking trains. And you can only use them when there's a train going. If there's no train till tomorrow morning, it's like, well, fuck you, I suppose. But if we just built conveyor belts everywhere, you could just hop on the conveyor belt anytime, 24/7, because we have to keep them running, and you could just go.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Probably not the several hundred miles an hour that you'd want a train to go at, like a bullet train. Bullet train conveyor belts. 300 mile an hour conveyor belt.
Oh, fine. The journey's going to take a tiny bit longer, but for the convenience of being able to literally hop on or hop off whenever you want.
Yeah.
Come on, that's worth it. That's a good trade-off.
Anyway, we need to wrap this up because I really need to go and do shit.
We don't. Let's keep talking. I'm having a good time.
I need to get all the fucking mailers.
John, let's have another. Let's keep chatting, John. Me, you. And
No,
Matt.
I need to go too.
Oh,
I've not
fuck's
done lunch
sake.
yet
All
today.
right, fine.
I need to
Also,
do the fucking
Advance Wars,
mailers.
that's
The
a good
place
remake.
closes
It's
at 5.
literally, it's not even a remake. They just re-released it. Fuck it, it's good. Get Advance Wars.
Advance Wars, yeah, 1 and 2 recamp, whatever it's called. It's fucking great.
Honestly, I'm surprised they did 1 and 2 rather than 2 and Dual Strike, because like 1 and 2 are very similar, and 2's just better.
I
so I don't know why they didn't
I
just
suppose
do.
you could just go from one to the other, really. They can kind of glue them together.
But like then you have this weird system where you've got to do 2 tutorials for the same mechanics in a row.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like I don't know. I feel like 2 and Dual Strike would have made more sense to me.
Then you got to make it work on a DS thing. And
Yeah. Then you've got to figure out how to do all the dual jibbles.
Yeah.
Right. We should wrap up
Fine,
because
we'll wrap
Matt's
up.
got places to be, things to do.
I have to
Matt,
get all the
clearly more
mailers.
important than
I have to go
us.
get
Sorting that
1,000 mailers.
We believe you.
Oh god, I just remembered about the fucking Delta thing again. That's going to ruin my whole day.
Get me a code for
Knowing that-
games, Matt.
I'll get them.
That's all I want Matt to do these days. Give me games.
I always try. I do most other things.
Games.
Fuck
And one
it.
of those Apple headsets.
Games.
Oh,
and
I'm
next
trying.
time on the podcast, I can say my thoughts on Zelda, and you can yell at me because I'm probably going to enjoy it because I enjoy
Yeah,
most
and
things. So I'm
inevitably
happy
we'll be wrong with our
because
predictions.
I actually enjoy things. I'm a happy person who likes things.
I think we might
You'll be
do
furious
one a
at
little
me.
bit more recent because I think John's going to pester us when all the Starfield stuff comes out.
Yes.
Oh, Starfield.
Absolutely.
Starfield.
Anyway, that's it then. I guess. Matt, final words.
Fuck it.
That is great final words. Normally from somebody wearing a parachute on top of a building, unaware that parachute on a 10-story drop's not going to be the most efficient fucking thing in the world.